The girl with tears in her eyes turns to her father and says that she really didn't do it. However, the man doesn't even listen to her, and the main character is shocked and wonders how this happened. A little while ago, someone screamed that the princess had fallen. Someone present said that there was poison in the lady's drink, and the princess drank it. The blonde-haired guy then screams at Jubilian, wondering if she really decided to harm the princess. The girl, puzzled, replies that she didn't do it, and asks Mikhail to believe her. After all, the princess wanted to drink, so she gave her this glass. But at that moment, the guy gets up with the princess and says that it's enough. He also asks if it is because he dumped the girl and loves the princess. The main character at this time comes into shock, and the aristocrats immediately whisper, "Is this jealousy?" But this is very much in the character of the duke's daughter. The lady could not come to terms with the separation from the son of the Marquis Gassin, and tormented all the women who approached him. Therefore, even the empress got it. The main character understands the truth that she hated the princess who stole Mikhail from her, but she swears that she did not want her to fall into eternal sleep. At that moment, a man approached the lady from behind her father, and the emperor shouted at them not to stand there like a pillar, but to immediately take this immoral girl to prison. The main character immediately turned to her father and asked if he believed her, but the man pushed the lady's hand away. The duke turned to His Majesty and claimed that he would take the girl there himself, but the emperor asked why he should believe him. After all, he uses the situation to get into the dungeon. The duke says that he will then lock her in the shadow room so that the emperor will trust him. The main character understands that this is a place where neither magic nor weapons work, a place from which there is no exit, and where only those accused of treason are sent. If her father forbids her there, it means that he refuses her, and the girl thinks, how can he do this to her? When the lady is in front of the door of this room, she wonders if she really was abandoned. The girl got used to it because her father had been like that since her childhood, when she approached her dad and did not dare to talk to him. But the duke would only turn around and ask why she was there. Lydia would answer that she just wanted to see him, while her father spoke coldly and answered that the girl should not come to him for this reason. A little while later, when they brought her gifts, the lady asked if it was from her father, but the maid just shook her head that it was not. A little while later, the girl grew up and said that most likely her father would not come, despite the fact that this was her debut. And now she understands that this is true because her father never loved her. The man at this time extends something into her hand, and he tells the girl to make the right choice and also take this thing. The main character, looking at her hands, thinks if this is really a dagger, after which she even wonders what she should do with this and whether her father really wants her to plunge herself into eternal sleep. The lady immediately screams at her father and asks him not to leave her like that, but he only leaves. A little while later, someone tells the crown prince that he cannot go in there. The girl, hearing these sounds, wonders if this is really the crown prince, who against his will can even plunge his loved ones into eternal sleep. The lady understands that only the royal family can enter and exit the shadow room. The man at this time claims that he came to interrogate the criminal who hurt his sister, while the guard claims that His Majesty did not approve of this question. The guy at the same moment extends the blade of the sword to the guard and asks Lily to repent after seeing the red liquid. But maybe torture is the only way to find out the truth. He also turns to the guard and tells him not to worry, because he is not going to put her into eternal sleep. When the guy enters the shadow room, he asks the girl if it is really her. The main character looks at him in fear, after which she realizes that rather than being tormented by someone like him, she would take her own life. The brunette, seeing this, immediately screams for her to stop, and the lady understands that she is the only dirty spot for the Duke of Floyant. Everyone turned away from her before her end, and she just wanted to be loved. And that's how the girl ended her life. This part of the novel was written at the end of the year. Now the main character is sitting at the table and says that she would really like to know the ending. At the same moment, someone else approaches her and asks if the lady called him to say something. The main character says that he is 3 hours late, but the guy does not apologize and immediately becomes interested. Did Jubilian really call him to scold him? The girl lies resting and understands that she is like a reader of a novel. She knew that she would be abandoned and put into eternal sleep by the main character. So now she says that she wants to tell him directly about wanting to break up with him. Mikhail is surprised by this, but then also sighs heavily. The guy wonders what kind of absurdity this is, and does the lady really think he will believe it? Marquis Michael Albert Hessen is the man she loves and the main male character of the novel. His reaction is natural, because in the past, she was an ordinary girl looking for a good job. But one day, on her way to a part-time job, she was hit by a car, and the lady fell into an eternal sleep. Of all people, she was reborn as the villain Jubilian. The lady remembered this after 2 years of her relationship with Mikhail, and it happened a few days ago. The lady realizes that she acted according to the novel and treated the maids cruelly. The girl also threatened the baron's daughter and insulted other ladies. Jubilian understands that she harassed everyone who dared even approach Mikhail. This guy is the only one who extended his hand to her, a lonely girl who was not loved by her own father. He was able to attract her even with the slightest display of attention, and the lady became simply obsessed with him. He made up for her lack of attention, but now the girl says that it's true because she wants to let him go. Jubilian realizes that in order to save her life, she needs to start acting now and stay away from him. The main character suggests that he not believe her if he really doesn't want to, but she clearly said that it's over between them. The guy says that this is great and he believes her, but she must never dare to catch his eye again. The main character only smiles in response to this and wonders whether she has avoided falling into eternal sleep, after which she apologizes for everything and asks him to be happy. When the people leave, the guy understands that, without a doubt, she wanted to attract his attention, but he still doesn't understand why he's so angry. A little while later, the main character, with a smile on her face, understands that she has such a sense of experience that she has thrown off a heavy burden, after which the lady decides to go into the room and rest. But on the stairs, she meets her father. The girl realizes that this is Duke Regis Audrey Floen. He is the best swordsman of the country, and her father, and also the only family. He does not look old, and it is probably because he is a character of a novel. However, he is also a man who does not love his own daughter, after which the man only passes by her. But the main character only greets him with a welcome back. The girl realizes that she knows what her father is really like because she read the novel. In this life, instead of seeking his affection, she will use his money because she wants to live happily ever after. Jubilian says that he must be terribly tired from training, but the man remains silent in response. The main character realizes that she is terribly scared, after which the lady bows and says that he should rest upstairs and that she was just about to do the same. After these words, the lady turns around and heads up the stairs. Well, then the man claims that there was no training today. The main character wonders if she misheard the man saying that the lady is early today. The girl understands that this was a normal reaction because she had previously followed Mikhail, which is why she returned late. Jubilian thinks whether he should tell or keep quiet. Well, then people decide to say that they broke up. Her father immediately asks why the lady understands that her father treated Mikhail well because the young man serves under his leadership. But still she has to tell the truth, and the lady claims that it is because Mikhail does not love her. She also does not want to spend her whole life with a man who does not care about her. Well, the Duke looks coldly at the lady. For some reason, he even shudders. Jubilian wonders if he really expected that Mikhail would become his son-in-law and take the throne. After all, she is an only child, and the issue of succession to the throne is acute. But the lady still tells her father that she wants to marry the one who loves her and wants to be happy. The man then just turns around and leaves. Jubilian understands that apparently he doesn't even want to talk to his disappointing daughter. The Duke didn't even believe his own daughter and abandoned her. He doesn't have a drop of warm feelings for her. When the lady looks after her father, she promises him in her thoughts that she will lead a peaceful life and will not disturb him, so she asks him to leave her alone as before, because then she will be able to live happily ever after. The maid at this time walks down the corridor and sighs heavily. She understands that it seems that nothing is holding the princess back anymore. Although she is beautiful when she is upset, she destroys everything she can reach, and today she broke up with Marquis Hessen. Therefore, everything will definitely be destroyed. The maid asks for thoughts that everything will be fine, after which she knocks on the ladies' room and says that her bath is ready. But when the maid opens the door, she is surprised because she sees that her mistress is crying. The maid also screams at Milady, and the main character wonders if she really noticed. The maid asks if everything is okay with her, and Jubilian decides to pretend that she was just yawning, after which they even ask for forgiveness. The girl tells Marilyn that she is so tired today that she will take a bath tomorrow. The maid feels a little puzzled about this, and the main character wonders if she is being too harsh because she is definitely not at ease. Jubilian says that she is really very tired. The maid immediately bows and says that it's okay. Let the mistress rest. Jubilian thanks her, after which the maid herself, almost crying, asks her to forgive her and runs out of the room. When the main character is left alone, she sighs and realizes that she shouldn't bully the maids any longer. Marilyn at this time says that it seems that the lady can hardly bear the pain of a broken heart because she is even crying. Well, at that very moment, the Duke comes out of the room and hears these words. He asks if the child is really crying, and also tells the maid to tell what she saw. The next morning, the main character wakes up in a good mood. The girl stretches and realizes that she already feels that today will be a good day. Marilyn enters the room at this time and wishes Milady good morning. She also says that the Duke invites her to have breakfast with him. A little while later, the lady is already at the table and realizes that they usually eat separately. At this time, the Duke looks at his daughter, and the main character understands that she will get indigestion from such an atmosphere. After this, the man even tells her to eat, and the main character wonders what her father is trying to achieve. At this time, the man silently watches his daughter and remembers how the maid spoke yesterday. What she thinks is that the breakup with the Marquise was a big shock for the lady. The main character understands that he must think that she disappointed him, and she understands why. After her father became a duke, he was appointed commander of the Central Army and protector of the crown. He was a national hero who brought dinner in the war 20 years ago. And compared to him, she is simply a non-entity because society does not like her. The lady has absolutely no communication skills and friends, to be completely honest. His table manners are excellent. At this time, the man turns to Jubilian and asks what her ideal is. The girl drops her table knife and wonders why her father is asking so suddenly. The man answers something because he is curious, and the main character thinks that he was never interested in her before. The lady thinks that maybe he wants to introduce her to someone and find himself a son-in-law who will become the heir, after which the girl understands that this will happen and asks if he is talking about the ideal, because if that's the case, then it's her. The ideal is a man who is stronger than his father. Jubilian understands that she will never marry, because such a man does not exist. At this time, the Duke is wondering if she is being honest with him, and the main character is wondering if he noticed her cunning. The girl says that it would be good, but such a person cannot be found in the whole world, and isn't that true? After all, a father is the pride of the nation. Jubilian understands that it must be said that it must be someone at the level of a father, because it will be difficult to find such a person anyway. The girl tells her father that she will not marry a man who does not have money, honor family beauty and skills. The man silently looks at her, and the main character smiles, after which the Duke says, "That's how it is." Jubilian, looking at his face, wonders if he bought it. And when the Duke turns to her again, the lady understands that she will answer all the questions that he will have. The man then invites her to go for a walk, and the main character gets up from her chair and asks why. The Duke replies that it's just like that, but Jubilian understands that he has never walked with his daughter in all her 18 years. Hey lady, she doesn't understand what her father is trying to achieve. A little while later, they are already on the agate street. One of the merchants shouts that they have clothes of excellent quality and let them evaluate them themselves. The main character follows the Duke and tries to guess what his motives are. A little while later, the man points to the strange things and says that he takes them all. Jubilian really doesn't understand why he's acting this way, after which the lady even takes the rabbit into her hands. She thinks that it is so expensive, and who would buy it for such a price? The Duke at the same time points to this rabbit and says that he will take this one too. Jubilian wonders why he buys everything she looks at, and she just wants to relax at home. At this time, someone else passes by the lady, and the main character realizes that even though it is a girl, she has a sword. The Duke at this time tells Jubilian to wait for him a little and speaks with this woman. The main character wonders if they know each other. After the disappearance of Lady Julia, who was the previous protector of the Queen, it seemed to her that there were practically no female guards left. But at that very moment, people heard someone say that this man was, after all, Duke Floppin. Then, it must be that notorious lady, the main character, thinks she needs to find a quiet place. But a little while later, when she opens one of the doors, she sees a man in front of her. The shop worker immediately asks if an angel has visited his establishment, and the main character embarrassedly realizes that she has gone to the wrong place. The girl realizes that she wanted to run to the nearest store, after which she wants to say something. Well, the salesman says that he likes the ladies and asks what she would like to buy. Jubilian understands that she is usually not like that and does not want to buy anything. But at that very moment, someone else appears behind the lady and places his payment on the table. The main character looks at him and wonders if this man really has red eyes. At that moment, the guy glances at her, and Jubilian thinks, was she staring too openly? And should she apologize? But the brunette only frowned. He wonders what the girl is looking at and tells her to get lost. The main character realizes that she recognizes this guy because he has a sharp nose and a fierce look. She was staring at him because he was handsome, but now the lady is wondering if he asked what she was looking at and told her to get lost. While the girl looks angrily at the brunette, the seller says that he owes 10 silver. At this time, the main character says that it is true, and she was just about to buy this thing. The man asks if the lady is sure that she wants to buy names, to which the girl replies that she has no doubt. The seller asks if she really needs an armor polishing kit. Jubilian, realizing what he is talking about, is a little embarrassed. And then he even says that the fittings in their house have simply become dull, and it would be a shame if they completely lost their shine. At this time, the seller says that one piece is not enough for the fittings in the whole house, and he asks the lady to wait, because he is running to the warehouse right now. The main character is puzzled and tells him to wait, and then he completely understands that everything went wrong. The brunette only sighs at this time, after which he throws a gold coin on the table and takes the polishing kit. At this time, the main character asks for forgiveness and says that he forgot his change. The lady also tells him to wait a minute because he gave one gold piece. But when the guy moves on, Jubilian asks if he can hear her. The girl claims that she wants to say that he gave too much, but at that very moment, she bumps into the guy's back. When he turns around, the lady says that he is probably a foreigner because an ordinary family can live for 2 weeks on one gold coin, and you can buy 10 polishing kits for it. At that very moment, the merchant approaches them and claims that they have exactly 10 kits for sale. The main character says that she doesn't need 10, but the man asks if that's what she wanted to buy, to which the girl replies that she doesn't. A little while later, someone approaches the lord and informs him that they have returned. One of the servants claims that Duke Floen invited the gentleman to visit his estate, to which the guy agrees. The maid also wonders if something has happened to His Highness the Crown Prince. At this time, the guy remembers the lady who claimed that you can buy 10 polishing sets for a gold coins. But then he turns around and says that nothing. The main character is near the Duke at this time. The man looks at the things in her hands and asks what they are, and the girl replies that they are armor polishing kits. The lady realizes that in the end, that guy just left, as if money was some kind of nonsense. At this point, the lady's father sighs and then suggests that they go, and the girl thinks that perhaps in his eyes she is also nonsense. The girl follows her father and realizes that today seems so long, and that is why she is tired. The lady also feels pain in her legs and understands that she still needs to climb the stairs. Jubilian thinks she needs to take a break for a while, but if she plans to get her father's entire fortune in the future, she shouldn't quarrel with him. Well, a little while later, the lady's foot slips off the stairs, and the girl begins to fall. At that moment, her father grabs her and asks, what is wrong with her? Jubilian only asks for forgiveness. The main character understands that he will get angry, and she should have held back, even if she is very tired, and everything is going wrong today. Well, at that very moment, the man picks up his daughter in his arms and says that they are returning to the crew. Jubilian says she's fine, but the Duke suggests she be quiet and they move on. The main character thinks what is wrong with her today, after which they ask her to put it down, because everything is fine with her, so they can continue shopping. But the Duke says that they are returning home. When the girl wants to object, her father only suggests not to twitch. The lady then understands that it is hard to understand her father. The girl begins to feel worse and worse, after which she wonders what is wrong with her. The Duke says that sooner or later she will meet a worthy man, but the main character at this time can no longer understand what her father is saying and understands that she will simply nod and agree. When the man asks again what is wrong with her, the lady replies that she asks her not to worry about anything. However, at that very moment, the lady switches off, and her father excitedly screams out again. A little while later, the man asks Jubel to wake up, because if he loses her, the main character thinks that it is strange, because he has never called her that before, and why does he have such a face as if he is about to cry? A little while later, the girl opens her eyes and realizes that she had a nightmare. The doctor immediately asks how Milady is feeling, and the girl wonders if it is Alan. Well, the guy just says that the lady didn't wake up, and they were very worried. Everyone around him was asking him when the lady would wake up. Jubilian realizes that she seems to have lost consciousness. The girl also wonders how long she slept, but the man replies that it's 3 days. At this time, the maids run into the lady's room and ask how she feels. At this time, the main character notices a mountain of gifts and wonders what it is. One of the maids replies that these are gifts from other noble ladies, with wishes for a speedy recovery, and the main character thinks that this cannot be, because she has no friends. At that moment, the lady's father enters the room and asks if she is awake. The girl wonders if she is still asleep, after which the man removes his hand and invites the lady to rest. Jubelian understands that, as expected, he immediately left, but she no longer hopes for anything. A father with a cold heart, neglecting his sick daughter. Something like this could undermine his authority in the eyes of the servants, so he still went to see her. While the lady was sick, she realized something flowers and gifts were sent to her only because of her last name, and not because anyone was worried about hers. And as expected, without her father's money and property, she will not be able to take care of herself. At this time, the maid wonders if the lady is really going to answer all these letters personally. The girl replies that yes, people sent her these letters to support her, and according to the rules of etiquette, she should respond to them personally. The main character understands that the first thing is reputation. She needs to fix her terrible reputation that she acquired by doing all those terrible things. A little while later, the girl reads a book, and the maids look at it in shock. The girl understands that education follows. Although her father does not intend to bequeath the duchy to her, the lady must still inherit a certain amount of money, so she should learn to manage money wisely. The girl began to prepare to become independent, but still understands that it is so boring. Who would have thought that she would suffer from her unwillingness to study in the past? But she feels like she has aged 10 years. But the girl understands that this is the price of becoming independent. And when she enters one of the rooms, then she sees her father there and immediately wishes him good morning. Jubelian thinks that she didn't even know he was in the office. The man at this time says that it is already noon, and the lady understands that she was immediately scolded. Jubelian says that this is true, and she misspoke a little. At this time, the man notices the textbooks in the lady's hands and wonders if this is a book on managing a duchy. He looks at his daughter as if asking why she needs to read this. Jubelian replies that she does, and she was curious about his duties as a duke. But her father wonders why the girl is interested in this. The main character wonders if he really decided that she wants to remove him, after which she even claims that she is simply curious, and there are no hidden motives. Well, the lady's father tells the girl to sit down. The main character remembers the doctor's words that she needs to avoid strong stress and not get nervous. The lady understands that she doesn't know how things are with nerves, but here it is, stress. The lady also thinks that she needs to continue smiling because it is difficult to understand his mood. After which the girl completely understands that if this continues, she will again fall unconscious. The man asks if the lady knows the 3 elements that make up the duchy. The main character is a little surprised by this, after which she replies that these are buildings, land and decrees issued by the ruler. He establishes laws about the inhabitants are obliged to execute them. The man says that this is great, and the main character replies that she has read the book, after which her father says that means the lady knows everything, and then he asked questions for another hour. Jubelian thinks, what kind of unexpected exam is this? The man seriously wonders what the lady thinks about this, and the main character wonders why her father is doing this. Later, the lady, although she doesn't show it, is wondering when this will finally end. And an hour later, the butler informs the lord that a guest is waiting for him. The main character understands that she is finally free, and when her father leaves, he looks at the lady, but she directs her eyes to the book and understands that there is no need to establish eye contact with him. The duke then smirks and hands the lady another book and tells her to read it. The main character looking at this book understands that this is a textbook on tactics and strategy. A little while later, the main character is still sitting at the textbook and understands that since her father told her to read it, she must do it. At this time, the lady also notices some kind of pendant inside the book, and a little while later, she is already heading somewhere. The girl thinks that maybe her father is still in his office, and it would be right to return the pendant to him. But when the lady approaches one of the turns, she hears someone screaming for the man not to try to kill him. Another voice replies that he is warning, not persuading, but his interlocutor cries out that his intervention is not required. Jubilian realizes that if she thinks about it, she has not seen her father argue, so she needs to quickly return the pendant and leave. But at that very moment, the man calls the name of his interlocutor, and the main character wonders if his name is Max. The lady wonders who it is, and if they are so close that they only call each other by their first names. When Jubilian looks at his back, he realizes that this guy doesn't look like a knight and wonders if he's a mercenary. But at that very moment, the young man turns around, and the main character, at that very moment, hides around the corner. The girl realizes that she almost got caught, but then she wonders if this is the man from the gun store. The Duke at this time says that the art of fencing is meant to serve to protect that which is dear and not to plunge into eternal sleep, and it seems that the guy has forgotten about this. At this time, the brunette asks the teacher if such weaknesses are necessary. Jubilian wonders if he really said teacher, but she didn't know that her father was training someone. The Duke at this time claims that sometimes such weaknesses only make them stronger. Well, his interlocutor just turns around and claims that he doesn't even want to listen, because he still has a lot of things to do, so he leaves. Jubilian, watching this from the side, thinks why behave so rudely. The Duke at this time turns to Max and says that one day he will understand. Someone will become so dear to him that he will want to protect him at any cost. The main character wonders who he is talking about and whether her father really has such a person. He left his only daughter to fall into eternal sleep. The brunette at this time says that he does not know what is going on with the dear person, but he found a hidden rat. At this time, the main character thinks about the rat and realizes that she hates them. At this time, the crown prince says that he will catch this rat as a teacher, and the main character mentally asks him to do this. But at the same moment, the Duke tells him not to dare to do this. The main character thinks why. Because she can't stand it anymore and wants to run away immediately. The man at this time says that if the guy touches her, he won't even forgive him. The main character secretly watches all this and then turns around. The girl understands that it is worth returning to herself because in the end, her life is more valuable and she will return the pendant later. When the Duke realizes that his daughter is gone, he turns to Max and asks her if he knew who this person was, since he still dared to call her that. The guy replies that he didn't get a good look at her because it was dark there, and he understands that there is only one person for whom the Duke will stand up for. The man taught him fencing for 10 years, and one day he told the boy that from now on, he would teach him how to wield a sword so that he could protect himself in the future. The guy understands that he knows very well how strict and cold he is, but only one thing in the world makes him soft. When the guy says the girl's name, he sees that the Duke smiles softly and looks at him. He thinks that he doesn't understand this at all, because his teacher voluntarily put himself on a leash. The brunette clenches his fists and thinks that he will not allow himself to become so weak. After which he turns around, and the Duke addresses him by name. He also recalls someone asking him to take care of her third son until he could protect himself. The man replied that he would do as the lady ordered, after which the Empress told her son that he must survive. When the guy was at the funeral, he heard someone whispering that he had known him since the time he fell out of favor with the king, and the crown prince had no power. Her funeral was not very modest. Someone else answers that it is all because she was just a weak woman. At this time, the Duke thinks that he understands the guy's anger, because he himself was once like that. But he still doesn't know what it's like to have a daughter, and if it weren't for her, he would never have realized what a monster he was. One day, he too will meet a man who will become everything to him. The maid at this time asks the mistress if there really is a rat somewhere out there, and the girl nods. The maid says that the rat catcher they invited said that he destroyed the nest, but the main character says that the nest is big and she is sure that someone has escaped. The maid suggests the lady not to worry because she will pass this on to the butler. Jubilian says that you need to catch the rat as soon as possible because they reproduce very quickly. A little while later, the Duke asks if something is bothering his daughter. The butler replies that she recently ordered a rat to be caught, but they did not find a single one. The man wonders if he is talking about a rat, and the girl must have misunderstood Max's words. You can't catch a rat if there is no rat in the house. After which, the Duke turns to Derek and asks where rats usually come from. The butler looks at his master with bewilderment, after which the latter tells him that it is not important and asks how the list of candidates for Jubileon is going. Derek replies that pedigree appearance, money, and even social status are all taken into account. So he thinks the list will be completed today. And there is also another letter from Sir Michael. The Duke wonders if this is so, after which he asks what this idiot wants. The butler replies that he insists on an answer, and also accuses Milady of playing with him. He also wrote that she was trying to get his attention. The man at this time asks if this is true, and then he tells the butler to make sure that not a single letter reaches Jubileon. The man replies that he will pass it on to the other servants, but the Duke says that if he doesn't answer, he wants the guy to personally see to it. And if more letters come, let him just burn them. A little while later, the maid tells Milady that she was told that the rat was caught. The main character asks if this is true, to which the woman replies that yes, she was the only one who fell into the trap. Apparently, there are no more rats, and this one accidentally wandered into the house. Jubileon understands that now she can walk around the house again and not be afraid. And that's why she was hiding in the garden. The maid at this time says that another letter has arrived for the lady. The main character looking at it wonders if it is from Count Arlo, and if he answered her letter. When the lady opens it, she sees that it is an invitation. The girl understands that it is Rose who sent the letter. This is one of those who tried to harm her, as well as a villain and one of the princess's friends. The girl understands that she is not on the best terms with her now, and now she has an invitation to a banquet that will take place in 3 weeks. The main character asks Marilyn Will to bring her flowers from the garden, and asks another maid to bring her ribbons and bows. Jubileon thinks that independence means independence, after which she also says, so that they bring cookies. The girl understands that she still needs to avoid anything that could lead to her falling into eternal sleep. A little while later, the lady with pink hair looks at the letter happily. The main character wrote that she sincerely congratulates her on her 17th birthday, and it was a surprise to receive an invitation to the celebration, so she hopes that her presence will not be unwanted. The girl realizes that Lady Jubileon personally wrote and decorated it for her, and it's so cute. After which she starts rocking on the bed and realizes that even the fact that she just responded to her, the letter, is already a huge surprise. And the fact that she even accepted the invitation is completely surprising. The girl understands that in fact she admired her. When Rosa was at events, she looked at Jubileon and realized that she looked just like a doll. However, when the girl approached the lady to greet her, the main character just passed by and turned to Mikhail. She completely ignored Rose, but now the lady with pink hair understands that she has already forgiven her for everything and she needs to answer. A little while later, the main character sees a pink decorated letter in front of her. Jubileon realizes that she never thought the Count's daughter would respond. She then opens the carelessly folded letter and reads what is written there. While reading, the main character smiles and understands that it is very sweet because Rose tried to repeat her letter. But then the main character sees that the letter is 10 pages long, and she can't believe that this girl is so happy about her letter. Jubileon reads that it says there will be a grand celebration. One of the maids says that Milady is reading the letter from her first friend so carefully, and another adds that she is about to burst into tears. The main character understands that this is not so, and judging by how openly this girl expresses her emotions, she will expect approximately the same from her. At the same time, in high society, one of the ladies asks if everyone has seen the letter that Lady Floyne sent. Another replies that yes, and it seems that she has finally matured. While another one says that people like her don't change, the lady sitting next to her replies that this is true, and have they all really forgotten what this girl did? However, one of them says that although the lady had previously behaved like a snob, she now accepted her invitation. And someone else is wondering what could have made her accept him, since previously the lady only attended royal banquets. But the girl, although she is the Count's daughter, is not some kind of outstanding person, and one of them asks what the girl is up to. Someone else asks if it has become fashionable to decorate letters with flowers and ribbons. But another girl asks if she even knows who Lady Floyan is, because the fact that she decorated her letter with flowers and ribbons already makes it fashionable. Mikhail, listening to all this, clenches his fist and wonders if Jubilian is now running after Count Arlo's daughter. A little while later, the guy returns to his mansion and tells the butler to tell Count Arlo that he accepts his invitation to the banquet, and the butler agrees. After which, the guy also asks if he has received any letters. The servant replies that there is none, and wonders whether the master is expecting a letter from someone. However, the guy replies that no, after which everyone tells him that the butler is free and he leaves. Well, as soon as the door closes, Mikhail gets angry and thinks that this is how it is. He can't believe that the girl dares to ignore his letters, and it seems that Jubilian really wants his attention. But she will regret it. A little while later, the main character thinks how hard it is for her. Lady Arlo is looking forward to her birthday, and she can't give her a bad gift. And besides, she just wanted to go shopping without all these knights. A little while ago, the Duke said that he would allow Jubilian to leave only if accompanied by a knight. But the main character understands that there are 12 of these knights. But she just wanted a quiet life. A little while later, they come to a ruined building, and one of the knights asks Jubilian if she really wants to go in there, because it looks like they are closed. This guy is Jubilian's cousin, and the main character tells the Sphere Galordan that there are a lot of people around, and maybe he will observe the formalities. After which, the lady says that yes, she really will go there. The girl understands that there is a fashionable workshop nearby. The guy understands that at first the lady buys polishing kits, and now this. And Jubilian's taste is very specific. Well, when the main character enters the workshop, she sees that everything there is sealed. And in the middle of all this chaos sits a man. When he sees someone enter his shop, he asks him to forgive him, but claims that he is not able to do anything. He does not know what noble family the lady belongs to, so he asks to go to the neighboring workshop. The knight at this time tells Milady that he really thinks it would be better to go somewhere else, but the girl only hands him her umbrella and replies that everything is fine. After which, she turns to Jan Fedor and says that she wants to place an order with him. The guy looks at the lady in surprise, but then asks why she wants to order from someone like him. The main character replies that it is because only he is capable of doing what she needs. But her interlocutor immediately asks her to leave embarrassed, because as she sees it, he is now incapable of creating anything. However, when the guy turns around, the main character only says that she believes in him. Fedor turns around in surprise and asks if that is really the case, to which the lady replies that yes, she sincerely believes that from under his hands come things much more magnificent than from anyone else. The girl also understands that this is all because he is the best master in the entire empire. The guy sheds a tear at these words, but then apologizes and says that a speck of dust got into his eye. The main character understands that, even though now Jan Fedor seems depressed, because he had to inherit the business, but in 6 months, he will become the best craftsman in the empire and enter high society. And all thanks to the necklace he will create for the princess in honor of her coming of age. The girl understands that this is the most valuable decoration among all treasures, and it is a great idea to establish connections with it before its value increases. At this time, the guy asks if the lady could tell him in more detail what exactly she wants to order. The main character replies that of course, and wonders if he really agreed. A little while later, someone turns to the Duke. The servant reports that a list of potential candidates has been compiled. The man silently looks at the list and then wonders why Maximilian's name is on it. The Duke orders Derek to cross the name out. But at that very moment, someone else enters the Duke's office and tells the gentleman that His Majesty the Emperor has sent a letter ordering him to appear at the palace immediately. The main character, Vata, walks through the market square. The girl realizes that she didn't order anything complicated, and now she'll buy something for herself. Last time, she was too busy trying to figure out her father's mood, so she couldn't pick anything out. And now there are knights, but this time she needs to focus on herself. A little while later, the girl sees cufflinks for a shirt. She thinks how beautiful they are, and then imagines them on her father. The main character thinks that they will suit him very well, and it is decided that she will give them to him, and at the same time return the pendant. The lady is a little worried because she hasn't been able to return the pendant for a long time, but if she gives the cufflink to her father, he will be a little kinder. But at that very moment, someone else enters the shop and wonders if this is Lady Floyan. And the main character looks at this man's grin and thinks, is this really Radian? He is Mikhail's cousin and a well-known gossip in high society. The guy is also called Poisonous Tongue. The girl replies that yes, and they haven't seen Sir Droyle for a long time. The main character also thinks that it wouldn't be good form to pretend that he doesn't know his cousin's ex-girlfriend. But her interlocutors are interested in why she addresses him so formally, and he is saddened by this. The only reason the lady calls him so formally is because she broke up with Mikhail, after which he kisses the lady's hand and asks the shallow and beautiful as a Narcissus to call him simply Radian. And then she smirks. The main character thinks how rude it is, but she still has to endure it. After all, this guy is a well-known gossip and is deliberately provoking her. The lady immediately takes her hand back and states that she would be happy to talk some more. But she has plans, so it's time for her to go. Radian says that it looks more like the lady is running away than plans, but the main character is just saying goodbye, after which the girl takes the cufflinks for the shirt and leaves, and Radian, watching this, only smirks. When the girl leaves the store, Radian realizes that she just recently broke up with Mikhail. But these are men's cufflinks, and the guy thinks about what Mikhail will do if he finds out about this. How long after the Duke is in the palace of the Acid Empire? The man asks His Majesty if he called, after which the Emperor turns to Duke Floyan and says that a rat has sneaked into the palace, after which he is interested in everything that has been designated. He will lose sleep if nothing changes, so he wants the person he trusts most to catch this rat. The Duke says that he will do as the Lord commands. He also understands that the Emperor wants him to find the one who is behind the immersion into eternal sleep and deal with him. His Majesty at this time says that only this rat plunged into eternal sleep with his own hands and left no evidence, so he will stay in the palace and lead the investigation from the inside. The man replies that he understands, and he will stay there for a few days. The Emperor then smirks and says that as he thought, he can now relax. A little while later, one of the knights wonders if the master is really going to follow his order, because if the assassin did not leave any evidence, the investigation will definitely drag on. The Duke is a hero of the empires, so he is not obliged to do such things. But the man only turns to his charges and says that they are in the palace. Then let him watch his words. There is no need to attract unnecessary attention to yourself. At this time, someone else is sitting in the tree. The guy realizes that he can't believe that the Duke allows this idiot to give him orders. That's why he's disappointed in his teacher. Max wonders how much longer the Duke will allow the Emperor to play around with him, using his weaknesses. But at the same moment, someone else approaches the Duke and reports that the escort mission has been successfully completed. The man asks how Jubilian is doing, and his interlocutor replies that she was looking for a gift for Lady Rose and was very happy to receive an invitation. The Duke listens, smiles, and says that it is clear, but the Crown Prince watching him thinks why he looks so happy. The guy wonders if it's just because they're family and just because she's so dear to him. The guy thought that the Duke was just like him, a man capable of destroying everything that stood in his way. But whenever he thinks about her, he becomes soft and opens up. A king who considers his own children just toys uses the Duke's weakness to put him on a leash, after which the guy completely remembers the teacher's words, that such weaknesses happen and only make them stronger. But the brunette understands that this is complete nonsense, after which he understands that it is worth looking at his weakness himself. Radian is visiting Mikhail at this time. He greets the guy and then says that his legs hurt, so he will sit down. Mikhail turns to Radian and asks if he really needs something from him. His interlocutor replies that of course he has good news, but he won't tell them until Mikhail offers him some tea. The blonde suggests that he just say what he needs, after which Radian sighs and says that the guy is such a grump, and that's probably why Lady Floyan dumped him and found herself a new guy. Mikhail immediately turns around and asks what the hell he's talking about. His interlocutor asks what he's talking about, because with these words, the guy hurts him right in the heart. He saw with his own eyes how the lady bought cufflinks as a gift, and these were men's cufflinks, after which he asks Mikhail if he understands the situation. Such gifts are given only to very close people, and for lovers, it means that they belong to each other. At this time, the blonde is wondering if Jubilian could have a lover, but his interlocutor smirks and asks if this is bad news. After all, the guy was so worried that she was playing with him and just wanted to attract attention to these breaks. After which, the man sees the butler approaching and says that he is just in time. He also thinks that the conversation will drag on, so he offers to bring him some tea. But Mikhail only tells the guy to get out. And if he said everything he wanted, then let him go away. Radian gets up from his place and says goodbye, and also says that if he spoiled the guy's mood, then he asks for forgiveness. Although he doesn't understand what he said to cause such a reaction, at this time, Mikhail is in shock and wonders if Jubilian has found someone else. The guy also remembers how the lady said that she loved him and understands that the lady acted as if she was head over heels in love with him and so quickly found another. After which he hits the table. The butler excitedly asks the gentleman if everything is okay, but the guy, pressing his lips together, says that the girl will still pay for this. The main character is at the window at this time. The girl wonders if her father is late again because of work, after which she becomes completely depressed. The maid looking at the lady says that the gentleman is training, so he said that he will be gone for a couple of days. Jubilian asks if this is true, and she understands that she wanted to get rid of the pendant as soon as possible and give the cufflinks. The maid thinks that probably Milady is so upset because Monsieur de has returned. A little while later, the main character falls asleep with the book, but at that very moment, someone opens the door from the balcony. The guy looking at the lady understands that she seems weak and so defenseless, as if she could fall into eternal sleep from anything. He also wonders why the teacher is so fixated on her. And what nonsense is this, because he can plunge a lady into eternal sleep with one movement. But at the same moment, he sees the girl sleepily opening her eyes. She also says that she doesn't know who he is, but the guy is clearly in the wrong house. The brunette wonders if she really wasn't sleeping, and Jubilian says that this is the residence of Duke Floyance. The guy at this time is thinking, what is wrong with her? And shouldn't she be scared? But then why is she so calm? The brunette rudely replies that he was not mistaken, and the main character asks if that is true, then why doesn't he change his mind? Otherwise he might regret it. She will fall into eternal sleep only a year later, after which the lady sighs. Max wonders if she really doesn't understand the situation at all. At this time, Jubilian lights a candle, but the guy immediately knocks it out of the lady's hands and also thinks how she dared to light the light. The lady is fearless but weak. They do not look at her face at all, and when the lady comes closer, he understands that this is his father's student. The brunette at this time remembers how he saw a lady in the city. She told him that with this money, you could buy 10 polishing kits. The main character at this time only sighs and thinks that, thank God, this is not quite the case. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw a dark figure looking at her. The girl thought it was still a bad dream, but when she pinched her cheek, she realized she wasn't sleeping. If someone breaks in the middle of the night, it's usually either a thief. Either the assassin and Jubilian were in shock, wondering who wanted her to be plunged into eternal sleep, after which I completely understood that it could be anyone, because the girl was cruel to people. The girl also thinks why she was such a bad person in the past. But she can't go into eternal sleep now, because how could she, who was the main lady in the past, go into eternal sleep like this? And she should have done it later, after sending the princess to the celebration of her coming of age. But then the lady realized that there was nothing to be afraid of and spoke to him, and fortunately, it turned out that he was her father's student. Jubilian understands that she was very scared, and next time she needs to double-check that everything is closed. At this time, the guy once again menacingly addresses the lady, but she only frowns and asks why he speaks so impolitely. After all, even if he is his father's student, he must follow etiquette. But her interlocutor asks why. Jubilian understands that he is still just as rude, and if you think about it, this whole situation makes him angry. He entered her room in the middle of the night and scared her. And if he hadn't been her father's student, she would have dealt with him already. At the same moment, someone else asks Milady if everything is okay. Well, when the main character gets out of bed and is about to answer, then a dagger immediately leans against her neck, and the main character thinks what it is. The voice behind the door asks Milady again if everything is okay, and the main character looks at the brunette's face. He understands that it looks like he wants her to answer, and the girl says that everything is fine because she couldn't fall asleep, so she wanted to read. The knight says that it is good, and he understood her. After which he leaves. Jubilian says that she did what the guy wanted, and maybe he will put away his sword. The brunette asks what she said, and the main character says that she does not understand why he is angry. After all, it wasn't his room that was broken into, so it's his own fault that the lady keeps yawning. The prince is shocked and wonders if she is yawning in such a situation, and the main character understands that she did it without thinking because she was too tired. The crown prince immediately asks what she is doing, and the lady replies that she is a little sleepy since he did wake her up, so she asks if he can go home. The brunette then claims that he has no home, and the main character thinks about whether she guessed right then and whether he really is a mercenary. Jubilian asks if he's just wandering around, to which the guy nods. The lady thinks that mercenaries usually stay in taverns or something like that. But this guy is homeless and abandoned, after which people wonder if he was kicked out of the house. And he came to her father because he had nowhere else to go. If you think about it, the last time he was there, he was alone and on an unofficial visit, and all because he was a secret guest. Now the main character thinks that maybe he accidentally got into her room and just wanted to get into the house, not through the door. After which, the lady even thinks about what to do because her father is not here now. After this, the lady even sighs and understands that there is no choice. She tells the guy that if he has nowhere to go, he can stay with them for a while. The brunette, a little surprised, asks what she is talking about, and the lady understands that since her father is gone, she must take care of his guests. The girl notices a blanket lying nearby, after which she picks it up and carries it to the crown prince. When the girl gives him a blanket, she says that there is no need to thank him, and he can repay her later when he achieves success. The brunette looks at the lady in bewilderment, after which he goes to bed and says that now she is going to sleep and he should figure out where to lie down. And the girl really fell asleep, after which the crown prince wondered what had happened. The guy thinks why she wasn't afraid of him, because everyone who meets him is afraid. Most try to hide their fear, but that look that flashed for a moment was strong and calm. After which, the guy completely understands that there is no point in thinking about it, because that lady is just a nuisance he needs to deal with her right now. Because if he destroys the Duke's weakness, this will help him get rid of the Emperor's leash, and then he will join him as before, and also help not to overthrow the Emperor. But at that very moment, the guy remembers how the lady with a smile on her face called him his father's student and immediately freezes. He understands that the girl is sleeping so peacefully, but looking at her made him feel sleepy. But then the guy wonders if he really wants to fall asleep right there. The ability to stay awake all night and fight is a basic skill for any knight. Even during a halt, one must not let down one's guard, so he cannot sleep there. But when the guy looks at the lady's peaceful face, he understands that he can lie down for a couple of minutes, after which he falls asleep completely. The main character is in a dream at this time. A huge dragon appears in it, and people scream in horror for everyone to run and save themselves. The main character finds herself alone among them, but suddenly the girl stumbles and falls. The lady understands that she is in great pain and is shaking, but at the same moment, someone else screams, "How dare this monster pursue his daughter? He won't get away with it." The main character wonders if it's her father when she opens her eyes. Then she understands that it was a dream, and it was just about a dragon, but she doesn't often dream like that. The lady turns around and thinks that the dream about the dragon is a good sign, and it seems to her that today will be a good day. But at that very moment, she sees the crown prince's face in front of her. The girl immediately becomes shocked and wonders why he is sleeping in her room and in her bed. While the guy is peacefully snoring, the lady is thinking, "What is this?" He is sleeping so peacefully that the girl did not dare to wake him up. That's why now Jubilian just sits next to him and thinks that it's not a big deal, because he just decided to sleep in her bed. Looking at the guy's face, the lady understands that he is so rude, but handsome and much prettier than Mikhail. Well then, the lady already imagines a news page about the infamous Lady Floyan kidnapping and holding a handsome guy captive. After which, she understands that this is a misunderstanding and he needs to be woken up. However, as soon as the lady reaches out to him, then the guy immediately grabs her and throws her on the floor, after which he hangs over her. The crown prince asks what she is doing, and the main character looks at him in shock. After which, he says that it looks like he slept well since he was so energetic early in the morning. Max is shocked and wonders if he fell asleep, and that can't be right. Jubilian wonders what kind of ingratitude this is, but she even let him sleep longer. The girl understands that this is very annoying, and it was he who broke into her room and fell asleep in her bed, and now he is making some claims. Jubilian thinks that she no longer has the strength to endure this. after which the lady starts laughing. But the brunette at the same moment gloomily asks what she is laughing at. Jubilian, barely breathing from laughter, realizes that they are so similar and that she has the same feelings. This guy looks like a black cat, and she met him when she was a child. This cat behaved the same way and came into her room whenever he wanted. Fluffy slept on the bed whenever he wanted, and was cheeky and fluffy until the very end. The lady realizes that he is just like that cat, and she can't even stop laughing when she thinks about it. But at that very moment, one of the maids knocks on the lady's door and asks if she is awake. The main character understands that she needs to calm down and think about something else. It's not funny because she can't appear in front of the maids like this, after which the lady tells them to wait a minute. She also tells the guys to follow her, and he is very annoyed, but follows her out. The lady understands that if he hides there, everything will be fine. Or when she pushes the guy into the closet, she tells him to sit quietly because they don't want anyone to misunderstand something. The brunette asks what she's talking about, and the main character replies that, for example, they slept together last night. The crown prince asks what she is talking about, after which he says that it is enough because he does not have time for these stupid games. But the girl replies that in animals, this is called mating, which makes him freeze completely. At that very moment, the guy cries out in embarrassment, asking what she is talking about, but the lady immediately closes his mouth, and she whispers, "Has he really gone crazy?" But she can't even imagine what will happen if the maids hear him, so there's no need to scream like that. The maid outside at this time realizes that she seems to have heard something, after which he turns to the world without intending to open the door. But when the maid pulls the door handle, she wonders why the door is closed. Jubilian turns to the guy and tells him to sit there and trust her. The brunette nods in response to this, after which he climbs into the closet and the main character smiles. The girl says that it was necessary to do it this way right away and strokes the crane principal on the head. He irritably asks how she dares to pet him, but at that very moment, the maid turns to Milady and the girl replies that she is already on her way, after which she locks the guy in a tight closet. When the maid enters the room, she asks Milady if something happened because she locked the door. The girl apologizes for making Marilyn worry and says that everything is fine. After all, she was simply afraid that someone might break into the room. The maid asks what she is talking about, after which he is interested in Milady too. Maybe there will be such a feast because this is the Duke's house, and not a single thief will dare to go there. The main character smiles, but understands that there is one, because he dared to do this. Jubilian claims that she was simply playing it safe, because her father was not at home, and the maid understood that the mistress was probably worried about her master. At this time, Jubilian thinks that the cat in her closet would better behave well. The maid at that moment grabs her mistress by the hands and says that the master will return safe and sound. So she asks her not to worry so much and asks, how about a walk to clear her head? At the same moment, the woman notices bruises on her lady's hands and screams about it. At this time, the brunette is in the closet and is wondering how long he will have to sit there because he doesn't have time for this. The guy wonders what he's doing there anyway, and no matter how much he thinks about it, this lady is still strange. Instead of being scared, she laughed and the guy wondered what was wrong with her. After 20 minutes of sitting in the closet, the brunette wonders where she disappeared to. But at that very moment, he hears some kind of groan. The guy wonders what this sound is, and the main character tells Merlin to go down a little lower, after which he keeps screaming that she is in pain, and the crown prince is in shock and wonders what is going on there. And they don't have mating there. But at that very moment, Max is thinking about what he's thinking about, and the lady won't be able to distract him. However, when he is about to open the door, the maid tells Milady that Kay thinks she should go to the doctor, and in the meantime, she will bring her some painkillers. The girl replies that it is not necessary because the mother should help, and the guy thinks why if she is not even injured. Marilyn tells the lady to be patient because she has bruises all over her arm and shoulder. The brunette is shocked and wonders if she really has bruises and where they came from. The main character says that it is her own fault. After all, there was no need to fall out of bed, and the guy remembers how he threw her on the floor that morning. He also understands that the lady suffered then, and clenching his fists, thinks that the weak are so easily crippled. The guy also thinks isn't it obvious, and the maid says that then the lady should rest. After she leaves, the main character goes to the closet and opens it. With a smile on her face, she says that the guy can go out. She also asks if he is hungry, and suggests having breakfast together. The brunette asks why, and the girl, smiling, replies that it's because it tastes better this way. After which she takes him by the hand and says that the guy should try it because they have a good cook. Max, confused, follows her. A little while later, the guy sees sandwiches in front of him. He also wonders if when the lady said to have breakfast together, she meant cucumber sandwiches. But this is his most hated food, after which the guy even picks up this sandwich and wonders if he's really going to eat it. His original plan was to destroy the teacher's weakness, and then he would leave. Well, when the main character looks at the guy, he puts a cucumber sandwich in his mouth. Jubilian asks how he likes it, and if it's tasty. The brunette understands that it's just disgusting. Well, he swallows the sandwich and nods. He also wonders what he's doing there. Jubilian says that thank God he liked it, because she was already worried. After which, the brunette takes another bite and realizes that the cucumbers are not so bad after all. In the palace of the Acid Empire, a huge number of people come and go every day. One of the men realizes that he heard that Duke Florian and his fighters are guarding the emperor. But when he approaches the door, the knights stop him, after which the man claims that he has come for an audience with His Majesty. He also understands that if this continues, unrest may arise like then. This man is the Chancellor, and also the Duke of Ilios. The man addresses His Majesty and asks if he will really keep him as his guard. The man asks if it is not obvious that it is not from a dog that he is more loyal than he is, after which the Duke sighs and realizes that 10 years ago, the Acid Empire waged a terrible war with the Kingdom of Teria. The young king found himself powerless and left the palace in the hope of hiding, but for one ordinary night, decided to defend the empire. These were cowardly rulers and a hero who won for him, and now they are the current emperor and Duke Florian. Since Duke Regis came out in support of the emperor, his overthrow of the Citron was avoided. But the people remember what a coward their ruler turned out to be, and the man says that if the master continues to give the Duke such useless orders, he may begin to be indignant. Instead, why not try to lure the assassins into a trap? But the man just looks at him menacingly, and then he says that there is no need to worry so much, because he knows what to do and the Duke can be free. But his interlocutor says that the shadow of the past still lies on His Majesty's reputation, and given the circumstances, everything can get even worse. If he wants to restrain the Duke, then he should return the crown prince, after which he asks him to make a wise decision. He thinks that he can't believe that this man who knows nothing is still trying to teach him, but the emperor understands that the Duke cannot betray him as long as he has this. At this time, the main character yawns, after which she completely realizes that after eating, she feels very sleepy. When a lady looks at the sofa, she understands that the guy is lying down so comfortably, but he doesn't even know that this is her place, and that she usually rests there. The brunette at this time looks at the lady and asks, "What is going on?" Jubilian asks if the guy was asleep, because he looked so relaxed, to which he replies no. The main character thinks when he will finally leave, and he will not stay there until his father arrives. At this time, the crown prince asks why the girl is looking at him. The satin heroine asks what kind of relationship he has with his father. The brunette replies that they are not bad, and the main character understands that this was already clear. Her father had such a warm voice and a soft expression on his face. Then he didn't look like himself at all, and it was as if it wasn't him at all. The girl also remembers that she was going to return the column to him and give him cufflinks, and since this guy is his father's student, he should know what he likes. The brunette says that if she wants to ask something, then let her ask because he hates empty chatter. The main character then shyly asks him if he thinks the cufflink is a good gift. The crown prince asks if she is talking about the gift, and the main character covers her face with a book. And she thinks that he should just not say anything, that his father won't like it. And then the lady starts wondering why he's keeping quiet. Well, at that very moment, the crown prince approaches Jubilian and takes the book from her. He immediately asks who this gift is, for the girl wonders how it got there so quickly, since the guy was just sitting on the couch. Jubilian asks who she can give them to, and whether he himself will guess. At this time, the guy remembers how someone reported to him that Lady Florian had previously met with Mikhail. She always followed him without caring what people would think. So the prince wonders if this idiot really wants to date that guy again. And Max says how pathetic. After all, does the lady really think that someone like that deserves gifts? The girl immediately asks for forgiveness, but says that he is crossing the line. The brunette understands that he is worried about the lady. She is so protective of this Mikhaili. The guy also says that he can't believe that she is obsessed with someone so mediocre and wonders where her pride is. The main character replies that she is not obsessed with him and wants to give him a gift to improve their relationship. After all this, man is her father, after which silence hangs between them. And then the brunette even asks if she was talking about her father. Jubilian asks what he was talking about and who else she could have been talking about. At that moment, the crown prince's expression softens and he smiles. The main character watching him thinks why he is smiling, and does he really not see that he has offended her? Jubilian asks for forgiveness, but wonders if he could stop smiling and say something already. The brunette asks if she says she wants to give him cufflinks, and when the lady opens the box, she shows them. Max claims that he thinks it's a useless gift, and the main character curses in her mind. The girl also says that he must be a master at choosing gifts. Her interlocutor replies that he recently sent one to his father because lately he felt bored, so he helped him find the strength to live for the next couple of years. The main character asks what he gave his father, but the guy replies that he won't tell. He also says that it doesn't matter what the lady gives. The Duke will be happy with everything. Jubilian just smirks and wonders what he's talking about. The guy understands that it seems she doesn't believe him. The main character says that if it were that simple, she wouldn't have asked him. The brunette, hearing this, wonders if the lady really doesn't know how dear she is to her father. The girl understands that she will simply give it to him. The brunette at this time understands that the Duke will sacrifice everything for his daughter. But does she know about this? And the guy doesn't understand whether this is what he wanted, and how pathetic it is. At this time, the Duke is sitting on a tree, after which a bird flies up to him and pulls his hair. The man immediately takes it on his finger and tells the bird to fly away because his daughter is afraid of small animals. At the same moment, someone else turns to the Duke and says that he has news from home. The man asks what happened there, but as soon as the guy calls the name Jubilian, then the Duke jumps up on the floor at that very moment and asks him to tell him if something really happened to Jubilian. The servant gets a little scared and replies that he won't answer. It seems the lady is worried that he didn't spend the night at home. The man wonders if she was really waiting for him, but the girl never said anything like that, after which the man smiles, and the servant watching, this understands that this is amazing. He also says that the lady is not feeling very well, so she does not leave her chambers. It seems she is very sad. The man then becomes a little depressed and realizes that this is too much. It's time to stop this annoying game with Max, after which the man turns around and says that he needs to meet with the Emperor immediately. At this time, the main character is sitting in the Duke's residence, and the Crown Prince tells her that there is no need to write anything. The girl replies that it would be rude to simply give a gift, after which she crumples up another unsuccessful letter. The lady doesn't know what to write because she wants to improve her relationship with her father, after which she asks for forgiveness. And when the brunette responds, the girl asks what she and her father usually talk about. Max asks if she talks about the teacher, to which the lady replies that she does. The guy thinks for a bit and then remembers how the Duke told him that his Jubilian had been so sweet since childhood. She started reading history books at age 5. And the lady is a genius, and the brooch she is wearing now. Jubilian made it for him with her own hands. The guy understands that he talks about his daughter endlessly, after which he keeps saying that he doesn't even know because they talked about it little. Jubilian understands that he is not helping at all, but then she thinks that, okay, she can handle it herself. An hour later, the lady smiles and realizes what she wrote. The brunette looks curiously at her letter, after which he is surprised and asks if she is really going to send it like this. The girl replies that of course, and she has admitted all her mistakes, so she humbly asks for forgiveness. The brunette looks at this letter and reads that the lady apologizes for the fact that when she opened the book, a pendant accidentally fell out of it. She was going to return it as soon as possible, but the course of circumstances did not allow her to do this, so she admits her guilt and sincerely asks for forgiveness. The lady also asks him to accept these cufflinks as an apology, and she once again asks him to forgive her for not returning the pendant on time. Then the girl with a smile on her face claims that now she will send him everything, and when she leaves, she says that he knows what to do if someone comes in. The main character also says that she will be back soon, and the guy wishes her good luck, after which he imagines what expression the teacher will have on his face. At that moment, the man is in the Imperial palace, namely in the audience hall. The emperor turns to the duke and says that several days have passed since he ordered him to find the culprit of the incident. And still no news. The man replies that he is still trying to get to the bottom of who is behind this. But his interlocutor hits the table and screams, "Does he really think that this is what he wants to hear, after all? Let the guy find this rat?" The duke realizes that Max called his daughter a rat, and it's quite ironic. He immediately realized that Max was behind the assassination attempt because the guy wanted to push him into conflict with the emperor. He also remembers the crown prince's words about whether he was afraid of this weakling. Now the man understands that he is not afraid, and he does not oppose the emperor only because the time has not yet come when the emperor notices the duke's gaze. He is completely frightened, and his interlocutor says that there will be no more assassination attempts. The emperor asks how he should know, to which the duke replies that the palace is well guarded, and he personally accompanied his majesty, so it looks like they don't want to attract more attention because they've already done it. The emperor understands that he is saying this only in order to return home, and how dare he do this. The duke at this time says that since it is not exactly known he will stay for another day, His Majesty thinks that this guy is making him more and more angry. He also recalls the words of another duke, that if His Majesty wants to restrain Floyan, he should return the crown prince. After which the head of the empire understands that this is true, and a lot of time has passed since he spoke with Regis's weakness, that is, the crown prince. After which he realizes that he will put the duke on a new leash and return the crown prince by pretending that he is going to hand over the throne to him. Provided that he will help him restrain this idiot, the main character at this time understands that the father is a workaholic, so he will immediately go to the office. When the lady enters her father's office, she sees neatly folded documents on his desk. The girl also wonders if her father's office was always so big, but she is glad that her father is not there. Jubelian doesn't think she could give him the gift in person, so she just leaves it there. Well, at that very moment, the girl sees some list of candidates on her father's desk and wonders what it is. But at that very moment, the lady throws the box down in shock because she sees another name on the list. The girl wonders why the name of the crown prince is there, and whether her father really wants to marry her off to Maximilian Keshen Asset. The lady with trembling hands understands that he didn't even tell her anything. The girl remembers how she and her father were sitting at the table. The man asked her what her ideal was, to which the lady replied that he should have money, honor, and family, as well as beauty and skills. Jubelian understands that this cannot be, seeing these are candidates for her husbands, Maximilian Keshen Asset. This is the crown prince and a man who has money, skills, and so on. But he is very cruel, and the guy put even his own father into eternal sleep for the sake of the throne. He is a ruthless psychopath, and in the novel, he was the main villain. But this guy was even going to torture her, so the ladies are shocked and wonder if her father really wants to marry her off to someone like that. Jubelian, with tears in his eyes, thinks how he could do this to her. The brunette is bored in the room at this time, looking at the door. He wonders if this room has always been this big and when will the lady return, because why has she been there for so long? But at that very moment, the guy notices some kind of rustling sound and grabs the person who made it and asks what he is doing there. The servant asks to let him go first, but when the man still holds him, he replies that Madame sent him, and she said that His Highness would be there. The guy immediately lets go of the servant and threateningly asks what he is doing there. The messenger replies that the emperor is behaving strangely, but his interlocutor says that, of course, after all, his gift was definitely supposed to knock him off his feet. However, the guy says that's not the point. Love Temperatures accepted the offer of the chancellor and several other officials. He wants to bring back the crown prince, after which the guy hands the master a sword. And he says that it is time for His Highness Crown Prince Maximilian to return. At this time, the main character understands that she needs to return to the room because she will not allow herself to be sold to the tyrant. But the royal family is against her and will not just oppose the crown prince. The lady understands that she must convince her father to change his mind, and she just needs a reason to refuse the crown prince. Of course, you can't tell her what she knows about the list of candidates. When the main character returns to the room, then he doesn't see anyone on the sofa and wonders if the guy hid because the maids came in. The girl whispers that she is back, but still doesn't hear anything, and when she opens the closet, she asks if he is there. After which she looks behind the mirror and then under the bed. But the guy is nowhere to be found. Jubilian wonders where he went, because she already has a lot to puzzle over. At the same moment, the lady notices the note. And when she looks at it, she sees that the guy wrote that she should not look for him, because he left and will return when the time comes. She understands that the cat would have written more politely, but she understands that she did not ask him to come again. The girl also feels the silence in the room and says that he left so suddenly. But she wanted to say goodbye to him personally. The brunette is heading somewhere on a horse at this time. He also wonders whether the lady read the note, and then even ponders why he wrote it. And also, what if the girl doesn't look for him? It seemed to him that his presence in their house was so natural. After which, the guy starts looking at the house from the top of the mountain once again. The servant turns to the crown prince in surprise, but he only moves on and says that they will take a shortcut. A little while later, the main character wakes up and wonders why it is so bright and why he didn't wake her up. But at that very moment, the lady notices in her hands a note that she read yesterday and understands that the guy has left. She wonders if he found a place to stay. But at the same time, the girl also wonders why she should worry about this, because she has more important things to do. But she still understands that she fell asleep while she was coming up with a plan, and nothing came to mind. The girl looks at the gift for her father again, and then imagines how the man will coldly ask why he should wear these cufflinks. The lady understands that she needs to return the pendant as soon as possible, but she has more and more things to do every day. At this time, the maids notice that the lady is behaving strangely. One of them says that usually the lady walks a lot, but recently she has not left the room, and she only looks out the window, so it must be the absence of the Duke that is now affecting her so much. Marilyn, watching the lady, understands that today she is especially depressed. A little while later, she turns to Milady and says that the weather is fine today, but the main character only replies that yes. Marilyn asks, "How about a short walk, because she will feel better from the warmth sunshine?" The girl asks if this is true, but she was always sad when she was left alone at home. The maid almost cries for a while and remembers how her little mistress said that she didn't want to sit in the house. The father is not in the house, and she will be left alone. The maid understands that the lady may have been cruel and selfish, but she has been so lonely since childhood. After which, the maid hugs the lady and says that she will always be by her side. A little while later, they go outside, and the main character is sitting at a table with desserts. At this point, the maid notices that Milady's favorite strawberry cupcakes are gone, and she immediately runs away, screaming that she will make new ones right away. The main character wants to say that everything is fine, but she sees that the maid has already run away. Jubilian thinks that maybe it's for the best, because it wouldn't hurt her to be alone. The lady understands that she must come up with a plan before her father returns, and that she must find a solution before new problems arise. But at that very moment, the girl is thinking dejectedly what to do. At that very moment, the lady hears someone's voice saying that this is where she is. It turns out that it was the Duke who rode on horseback straight to his daughter. Jubilian is shocked and asks if it is really her father, and wonders why he came back so soon, but she thought she had more time. The butler said that the gentleman had conveyed that he would be gone for a long time, and now the main character says that her father has returned earlier than expected. Jubilian said that the training ended early and wondered if his father was tired, but she would tell Marilyn to prepare a bath. But then the girl said that if he had not had lunch yet. At that moment, the lady stopped and thought, is she really talking about lunch with her father? Because if so, it would be better not to say anything. At this time, the man turns to his daughter and says that from this moment on, he will never leave her alone again. The main character is a little embarrassed, but then he thinks why his father says this so suddenly. The man claims that he wanted to get back quickly and asks if Jubilian has already had dinner. The girl replies that she is not at home yet, and the man says that even if he is not at home, then the daughter must take care of herself, otherwise she may lose consciousness again. Jubilian only droops at such words and understands that it will be difficult to marry her off to the crown prince if she constantly faints, and her father wants her to look good on the bride market. At this time, the man only tells her not to lose consciousness again. Their main character understands that she is scared. After all, now she won't be able to tell him even about her cold. At this time, the Duke approaches his daughter and suggests going to dinner. The main character thinks why he took her hand again, and then remembers it completely. As the man in the novel led his daughter into that horrible room, Lyda realizes that it was foolish to expect anything good from her father. She used to follow him around hoping to attract his attention, but she doesn't do that anymore. A little while later, they are sitting at the table, and the main character realizes that she feels so awkward because they are having lunch together right after his return. The man at this time says that he heard the lady was invited to a reception next week. Jubelian understands that he knows and says that yes, the Count's daughter invited her to the birthday celebration. The Duke then asks who she will go with, and the main character understands that she has not yet found who to go with. And what if he tells her to choose one of the candidates from the list? The lady clutches her handkerchief and says that she has received several letters with invitations. Many want her to go with them, and the lady wonders if that's wonderful. But they are all so cute that she doesn't know who to choose. The Duke at this time looks at his daughter and then turns around and says that it is clear. The main character wonders if she was able to get out of it and realizes that she needs to quickly finish eating and write a letter. A little while later, the main character looks at a whole pile of letters and tells Marilyn that there are many more offers there than she expected. The maid tells Milady that she has plenty to choose from, and the main character asks if this is true. The girl realizes that one of the candidates is a member of the Imperial Knights, known for his swordsmanship and refined manners, namely Sir Boromir. The second is the son of Count Lowain, known for his handsome appearance and sharp mind. And 3 is one of the high-ranking officials in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the son of Marquis Crocus. The lady told her father that she would choose someone, but the candidates were so good that it would be difficult. Ironically, it is thanks to her father that she can do it. After which, the lady thinks about whom she should choose, and a little while later, she tells Marilyn that it is already late, so let her send the letter in the morning. After which, the maid leaves the room, but at that very moment, the Duke meets her. He asks what's going on there. Jubelian. The woman is frightened by the sudden appearance of the gentleman, after which he keeps saying that if he wants to tell the lady something, then she will tell her he calls. But the man replies that it is not necessary. After which, he notices the letter in the maid's hands and asks if his daughter has decided with whom will she go to the reception. The woman answers that yes, and she has chosen the son of Count Lowain. The man asks what they say about him, and the maid replies that he is handsome and well known in high society. She knows that he is a wonderful young man. The man frowns at this time and wonders if this guy is really known for his beauty. Marilyn says that she can already imagine them having fun and flirting. But this is such a beautiful picture. But when the maid opens her eyes, she realizes that the master has already left. A little while later, the Duke is already sitting in front of this marquis, and he with trembling hands is wondering why he came to him. He also asks the Duke to what he owes such a late visit, but the man only looks at him coldly. And also on his revealing outfit, the guy immediately lowers his gaze and adjusts his clothes. But the Duke still looks at him silently, after which he remembers his daughter's words, that she will not marry a man who does not have money, honor family beauty and skills. After which, he tells Edmund A. Saint-Levain that he did not pass the selection. The next morning, one of the maids informs the lady that he came her order from Fedor's workshop. The girl with a smile on her face says that, finally, Rose's birthday is coming soon, and she was worried whether he would have time to make it. The lady also reads the note that it is for his muse, and then wonders why there is another box, and is this really a 2 for the price of 1 promotion? The maids, looking at the contents of the box, ask Milady what kind of beauty it is, because they see something like this for the first time. The girl understands that as expected from Jan's work, he has already charmed everyone. After which, the lady says that she will show it later, but at that very moment, someone else knocks on the door of the room. And the butler says that it is him, and the main character wonders what happened. The man replies that Edmund, second son of Count Lovain, has arrived, and said that he is ready to answer Milady's letter. The main character wonders if he really came in person and didn't send a reply letter. Of course, if they go together, it would be nice to get to know each other better first. And the girl says that's good, because she'll come down as soon as she's ready. A little while later, the guy tells Lady Floyan that they haven't seen each other for a long time. The main character greets him, and the maid asks him to let her take them to the living room. Jubelian understands that this guy's as handsome as they say, although you can't compare to Mikhail. And if you think about it, of course, the manner of the father's student leaves much to be desired, but he is also quite handsome. The girl also hopes that he is not hungry, and that everything is fine with him. At the same moment, the Count's son turns to Milady, and the girl wonders if she was lost in thought during the conversation. The guy at this time tells Milady that he must inform her about the purpose of his visit. But at that very moment, he falls to his knees and cries out, asking to accept his apology. Jubelian wonders what this means. After which, the guy asks if the lady is not aware of the rumors circulating in high society. That Milady was seeing someone. That's why he was very surprised to receive her letter. The main character at this time is in shock and wonders if she, who is a homebody, is really dating. The girl sighs and thinks how many stupid rumors are going around. Jubelian wonders if someone saw her father's student through the window, but then thinks that there is no need to panic. The main character says that this can't be because she was resting at home all the time and she has evidence. The man then says that it means it's just a rumor and asks for forgiveness. Jubelian replies that everything is fine because she will simply find another partner, so she asks him to get up. The girl also thinks that it's okay because at least she found out about the rumors that are going around about her, and if she catches the one who spread them, she'll kill him. Well, at that very moment, the guy approaches the lady and asks if she is not an angel. After all, the lady let go of his rudeness so easily, and if only he had passed the selection, he would never have backed down from her. The main character looks at him with a little surprise, after which the man hands her a rose and also invites Milady to have lunch together sometime. But at that very moment, he stops because he sees the Duke, who is looking at him gloomily from the window. After which, the guy, completely horrified, asks him to forgive him because he is afraid, and it is time for him to go. Jubelian wonders what is wrong with him. Time in the blooming salon is an event. One of the aristocrats says that it seems like everyone is interested in how the Count was able to decorate his house. Someone else replies that last year everything was simply drowning in roses, and she can't even imagine what they'll come up with this time. But then someone says that it is much more interesting who will accompany Lady Florine to the ball. To be honest, most people will come for the same reason, because of the rumors about Lady Florine. And her interlocutor knows who the troubled lady is dating after she broke up with Marcus Hassan. The other lady says that she heard that this girl was seeing him, but has no idea who it is. After which, someone else says that maybe she is with someone who does not appear in public. And this is so interesting. Well, at that very moment, someone throws a glass on the floor, causing it to break. It turns out to be the Crown Prince. After which, the aristocrats turn to him, and the man menacingly asks if they really enjoy spreading empty rumors. One of the ladies says how rude this is and asks what he is talking about since he is a witness. But the man just approaches the lady and asks if she personally saw it. The girl replies that even if not personally, then if there were no reasons, then rumors would not be circulating about her friends. They reply that this is so. But the guy coldly asks if they want to tell the lady, then Florine in the face. The girl then falls silent and turns back to her place. The other aristocrats also look away. The man thinks what pathetic scum they are and says that accepting such things as truth is absurd. As the guy moves on, he thinks that this is bad. And why did this make him so angry? A little while later, the brunette is already sitting on the sofa of the owner of the flourishing salon, Madame Priscilla. He says how many years and how many winters has it been since the guy was gone for so long, and the woman asks if he will spoil them with interesting news. The man replies that he will never set foot there again because they created a mess. The woman says that this is something new, because it seemed to her that the situation there was still the same. After which, she turns to His Highness the Crown Prince and asks what has upset him so much, because it looks like he doesn't like the information about Lady Florine. The man asks if malicious slander is really called information there, and the woman replies that there is no smoke without fire. Usually, His Highness hides his emotions so well that the woman wonders what made him so angry. But before he never even deigned to say a word to anyone, the brunette replies that the dogs were too decomposed and he just wants to shut their mouths. The owner of this place just smiles and understands that he has become even stranger since he visited Duke Floyan. The man says that he needs truthful information about Lady Florine, after which the woman says that firstly, Lady Florine's secret affair is not true, and the brunette sighs, and the woman replies that she did send it to the Count's son, Lavina's letter, with an offer to become her partner on the floor. The woman also asks why she chose him, and at the same moment answers that he is a handsome and well-mannered young man, although they say that he is a Casanova, because how many girls have cried their eyes out because of him? The man says that it is clear, and that means it is in his face. It seems that he heard from the teacher that handsome men are to her taste, but he still does not understand what is so special about his face. The woman says that in any case, she does not know whether His Highness will be happy about this or not, but they say that young Master Lowen rejected her offer. The man immediately clenches his fist and screams out who this Count's son thinks he is. Since he dares to reject anyone, his interlocutor at this time thinks what is wrong with this guy. After which, he continues his story about how rumors that Lady Florane was enjoying an affair with a certain mysterious lover were spread by the son of Viscount Droyle. And by the way, young Mr. Droyle is a cousin of the Marquis Hassan's son, Michael Hassan. His Highness sternly asks if she is talking about Mikhail, and the woman asks if it is really funny, since the lady was once his lover. And now he stands aside and watches as his cousin desecrates her honor. The brunette immediately rises from his seat and tells the lady to find out everything about the vulnerabilities of the Hessens and Droyles, as well as about the people who claimed the place of Lady Floyan's partner. The woman replies that it will be done, but she thinks that Duke Floyan bought this information first. However, when she wants to say something to His Highness, she realizes that he has already left. At this time, the main character is sitting at the table with her father and understands that they are having tea alone. But then the girl starts to think how this could have happened, and how the young Mr. Lewine. He left, and her father immediately caught her. 5 minutes ago, the lady asked if the father was really there, and the man answered that he met Jubilian just in time, because his throat was dry. The girl understands that now is the time for forced tea, and thinks how stupid these decencies are. At this time, the Duke is wondering if the girl has found a partner for herself, and the lady understands that if she says that she was just rejected, he will definitely arrange a blind date for her. Jubilian replies that she is still considering her options, after which the man says that if she cannot find a partner, let her definitely tell him about this, and the main character is scared and wonders what her father will do about it. A little while later, the lady rises from her seat and tells her father that she will go to her room. The man says that he will have to leave later because he has one urgent matter, and the main character asks if this is true, after which she wonders why he is reporting to her. The Duke replies that yes, he must warn someone, and the girl understands that she doesn't know who exactly, but she can't ask him. The man also claims that he will be back before dinner, and the main character says that is fine. The lady also thinks about the warning and realizes that perhaps it concerns her too. At this time, the brunette watches the Duke and understands that he is leaving the house so late. But before he almost never appeared there. When he leaves, the guy jumps onto the balcony to the ladies' room, and when he enters, he realizes that she's not there. He wonders where the lady is now, and whether she really went to the library. He also wonders if she went to send a letter inviting a new partner candidate. Why does the Crown Prince even swear and also understand that he shouldn't care whether she finds a partner for herself or not? At this time, someone else turns to the guy and asks what he is doing in her room. It turns out that this is the main character, and the brunette immediately approaches her and asks where she was. Jubilian is shocked and wonders if this is really one. What he decided to say when he saw her, the girl replies that she was downstairs, and the guy turns away and says that it is clear. The main character thinks that it is very funny because he appeared there out of nowhere, and why he came at all. The lady wonders if the words in the note were true, and the girl says that if he came to his father, then he had an urgent matter, and he is not at home. The guy replies that he knows that he's not at home because he just left, after which he sits down on the sofa, and the main character thinks why he showed up if he knows that her father is not at home, and she already has a lot of worries. Suddenly, the guy appears next to her and asks why the lady is sighing so much. The main character is very scared by this and understands that he was just sitting on the couch. The girl says that a lot of things have just piled up, and it's a complete headache. Max asks what the matter is and offers to tell him, because he will keep everything a secret. The main character understands that if she confesses, then maybe her soul will feel better, and suggests that he first promise that he will never tell his father about this, to which the guy agrees. After which he promises, and the main character says that if he breaks this word, he will owe her 100 gold bars. The man replies that it is fine, and even if he mentions it by mistake, he will give her all his fortune. The main character at this time only smiles and thinks how a person who doesn't even have a home can put his fortune on the line, and also tells him to watch, because she will shake out his last penny. The guy only gets embarrassed by this, after which he says that if they have decided everything, then she should tell him already. Jubelian replies that it is good, and in fact, now someone is spreading evil rumors about her. Allegedly, Lady Floyen is in a secret relationship with an unknown man. It's not that she's ashamed of the secret affair, but she still knows that she has. This has never happened to her before, and what others say doesn't bother her at all. However, it seems that everyone she has asked to become her partner refused her precisely because of this. At this time, the brunette thinks what idiots all these are, and how dare they, without understanding the essence, simply believe rumors. If he could take this place, he would definitely go to the reception. Well, then the brunette suddenly catches himself thinking and wonders where he was going. He also understands that he needs to calm down and focus on the conversation. Jubelian says that in principle she could go alone, and the brunette then asks what the problem is. The lady replies that the thing is that her father is going to marry her off, and the man screams in shock, "Is that really true?" The main character replies that she saw a list of suitors on her father's desk, and it looks like he already has someone in mind. And at this time, he thinks how he can try to marry off his daughter. And is he really capable of this? And also, is his concern for his daughter all pretense and hypocrisy? The main character says that this is why she must show her father that she already has a partner with whom she can go to the ball, because if she doesn't have a partner, her father will definitely try to set her up with one of the suitors. At this time, the brunette says that perhaps a worthy partner is closer than she thinks, and the main character asks what he is talking about, after which she gets up from her chair and says that she is right. She also takes the guy by the hands and thanks him. The crown prince understands that although all this irritates him, it is so be it because he can do nothing about it. The main character at this time asks why it did not occur to her right away. After all, she can ask Geraldine to be hers partner. The brunette immediately goes into shock and wonders if she really meant him, after which he keeps asking him who this man is. At that moment, silence hangs between them. The girl decides to interrupt him and claims that he is her personal knight. Every time she goes out somewhere, Geraldine accompanies her, so many know him by sight. The girl also claims that she will tell her father that she is afraid to meet people in the banquet hall who slander her, and then he will understand that her offer to choose a shoulder knight as a partner is not so bad. Moreover, he is her relative on the maternal side, so there is no need to worry about stupid rumors. "Hey lady, is this not an ideal option?" The brunette thinks that, okay, and if the knight is her relative, then he can be calm. But at the same moment, he thinks why he is so worried, and what difference does it make to him who she goes there with. Jubelian thanks the guy and claims that she is really glad that he listened to her. The crown prince is a little embarrassed by this, but then suddenly rises from his seat and says that he needs to go. Max understands that something strange has been happening to him lately, and why did he even come there like an idiot? Jubelian asks him to wait, and when he stops, the main character hands him some kind of bag. The guy takes it in his hands and asks what it is, and the lady offers him to open it. When the crown prince does this, he sees money there, and the girl replies that she is not giving it to him for nothing. After all, in return, he will only need to help her when she needs it. The main character thinks that she was worried, because he left without saying anything, and thank God, now she can take on his travel expenses. The lady also says that they will always take him in if he has nowhere to go, and asks if he agrees. The guy just nods in response. At this time, one of the lady's potential partners heads off in a carriage. He is peacefully reading a book, and the coachman tells the gentleman that all that remains is to cross the bridge, and they will be at the residence of the Duke of Floyen. Well, at that very moment, the carriage shudders, and the man screams out, "What happened?" The coachman doesn't even know what to answer. But at the same moment, someone else turns to the owner of the carriage and asks if he is Ronald Herman Crocus. The man asks if this is really the Duke, and his interlocutor claims that if the guy is going to visit his house, then he should stop and talk to him there. A little while later, the brunette asks what all this means, because I am warning him not to dare even approach his daughter, because he is not up to her level. The Duke says that if the guy understood everything correctly, then he should turn around right now and go back. The man replies that he would like to hear everything from her personally, and not through the Duke. He enjoys much more popularity and authority among these than he thinks. 10 minutes ago, the Duke also turned down another candidate for an escort and claimed that he would never be her partner, to which he agreed. Now the man understands that Bromir disappeared as soon as he said one phrase. His interlocutor at this time says that Jubilian also has no choice but to choose him, but at that very moment, the Duke asks if he really said Jubilian, and if the guy dares to pronounce his daughter's name with his mouth. His interlocutor tells the Duke that this is not the case at all, and the man asks if he is really polite and careful with him and dares to call his daughter by name, after which he even becomes interested in whether Ronald Herman Crocus really thinks his daughter is a wiretap. The guy at that very moment screams out, asking for forgiveness, and orders the crowd to turn the carriage around. When he leaves, the Duke calms down and realizes that Lowen Bromir and Crocus are the last names on the list of suitors for his daughter, and he doesn't like any of them. He also needs to tell Derek to rewrite it. The main character at this time realizes that she has a grand plan due to rumors of cufflinks with blue diamonds that she bought for her father, turned into a gift for an unknown lover. If you think about it, the only one who could have seen the cufflinks so accurately was Radian, whom she ran into then. The girl also understands that, in any case, as soon as her father puts on these cufflinks, the rumors will immediately clear up on their own, because they are custom-made and are one of a kind. So first of all, she needs to butter up her father. Well, a little while later, the lady with a smile on her face says that her father returned before dinner, as he promised, and she is very glad that he returned so quickly. The Duke says that he heard from Derek that Jubilian wants to give him something. The girl replies that she is pressing. In fact, there is one thing that she has been keeping for some time. The lady hands over the jewelry and says that last time the father left it and left. The man looks at the decoration emotionlessly and says that it is clear the main character understands that she did not expect that he does not care so much. The heavy artillery is entering the battle and hands my father the cufflinks. The man is a little surprised looking at them, and the main character claims that she came across them while she was shopping, and she immediately thought about her father because it seemed to her that blue diamonds would suit him very well, so she bought the cufflinks. Jubilian, looking at her father, understands that this also did not cause any reaction, but she hoped that he would pull them on, but it looks like she was counting on this in vain. The lady understands that her grand plan is collapsing, and when she wants to say something about her partner, she knows that her father is very busy, but the day after tomorrow, However, the man only says that it's good, and that she herself started talking about it. Then he is ready to go to the banquet with her. Jubilian is shocked by such words. The lady sees that her father is absolutely serious and thinks that this was not part of her plans. At this time, the crown prince is in the tower with a spire next to the flowering salon. The servant watching the master wonders why he is so deeply in thought, and Max understands that this is some kind of madhouse. Since that day, he constantly thinks about this girl, and he sneaked into her room to see the teacher's weakness. The guy also remembers how the lady said that evil rumors were being spread against her, that Lady Florenne was secretly dating an unknown man, after which the crown prince thinks that it is good, and it is possible to admit that this is sympathy for the girl who became a victim of dubious rumors. And now there is no longer any need to see her. But then the guy remembers the lady's words, that they would always accept him if he had nowhere to go. The man immediately hits the sofa with his hand, and his servant asks, "His Highness, if something really happened today." The man only suggests that she mind her own business and begin today's report. The servant understands that she is worried, so of course she will poke her nose, after which the servant claims that there is nothing new, and only Victor, who is His Highness's understudy, asked to convey it. That the crown prince has been absent for too long, and the emperor's assistants are already beginning to suspect him. The man smiles after this and says that just think how many years they didn't notice what was happening right under their noses. And then suddenly they became amazingly observant, after which the guy even says that the butler should tell Victor to make sure that there are no flaws in his game. He agrees to the Ukrainian ones, but thinks what a poor guy he is, because he whines every day that he is very hot in his armor. The butler also adds a word about Lady Florenne, and says that the whole world is going to wash her bones at the banquet in honor of the daughter of Count Arlo. Still a lady, Florenne is the only stain on Duke Florenne's reputation. She did not appear at any events except for banquets at the Imperial Palace. So this celebration is a great place to kill off famous villains. Moreover, recently, she has sunk to a relationship with an unknown man. And frankly speaking for Lady Florane, now the Count's mansion is like a pillory. The man tells the servant to stop because he thinks there is no need to go into such details. The woman is a little surprised by this, and understands that earlier he had said to report everything down to the smallest details. So why is he reacting like that now? The servant says that then she will leave the master, and she goes to Victor to tell him to disguise himself better. But at that very moment, the crown prince furiously asks who let her go. He also adds that he has a very important task, so let her forget about her weekend. A little while later, it is time for the banquet day at Count Arlo's residence. One of the women sighs and thinks how boring it is there. At that moment, someone comes up to her and greets her and asks if Madame Priscilla is there too. The woman greets them with a forced, polite smile on her face. She also remembers His Highness's order. The man said that she should attend the banquet and approach Lady Florane, and also let her keep an eye out and help her if something goes wrong. Of course he orders this to be done, because he is going to use this girl from now on, and let her take into account that he will be watching everything near the banquet hall. The woman now understands that overtime is inhumane. One of the ladies at this time says that as she thought the roses in Count Arlo's house are simply incredible, her interlocutor replies that she also decided to attend the banquet to admire these roses. Madame Priscilla says that this is how she thinks did they really come to look at the roses, after which she sees how the lady looks away. Hey, she realizes that she only needs to look at these three. One of the girls whispers to the other whether she has arrived yet, and the other replies that no. She is really interested in who Lady Floyan's partner is. And also, will she come with her lover according to rumors? Madame Priscilla, at the same moment, says that maybe she will come with her relative Sir Geraldine, or maybe she was alone without an escort, since not much time had passed since her breakup with Sir Michael. If she is accompanied by another man, it will only cause false rumors. So isn't this the safest option? One of the ladies says that there is logic in this, but the woman at this time thinks whether Lady Floyan was able to read her thoughts, and in her thoughts she asks the girl to come as she suggested. Another lady at this time says that if everything really happens, as Madame said, then they will never know who Lady Floyan's secret lover is. The woman asks if this is true, wondering if it wouldn't be easier to just find the one who wears the cufflinks. She also understands that this is probably the person His Highness wants to find first. And the woman in her thoughts asks His Highness if she is smart, after which one of the ladies says that it seems Sir Michael has also come to the banquet today. The other lady replies that she saw him too, and he is still charming and polite. Her interlocutor says that he smiled and greeted her with his eyes, and Madame Priscilla, watching this, understands that this is a man who is ready to give hope to anyone who shows interest in him. And Mikhail sank below the baseboard. The woman at this time also asks if they are waiting for the upcoming performance. She understands that the main roles will be played by two lovers with a scandalous broken relationship. Now they meet again in this ballroom. One of the ladies at the same moment asks, what if Mikhail also meets the owner of the cufflinks? The woman at this time at the lands turns to His Highness and understands that she does not think she can stop it. Florane will arrive. At this time, Mikhail is nearby and wonders what kind of nonsense they are talking about. And they will see who comes with him, Jubilian. The main character at this time is heading with her father in a carriage. The man says that rumors have reached him too, so he knows that there will be people in the banquet hall gossiping about her. Well, he also suggests to Jubilian not to worry about it because today he will be next to her. A little while later, the coachman announces that they are there, and when the Duke gets out of the carriage, he extends his hand to his daughter. The main character hesitantly gives him her hand and gets out of the carriage. At that moment, someone notices the Duke and wonders if he is at the banquet. One of the aristocrats asks if it is her. The partner is the Duke himself, but at the same moment, the doorman asks everyone to calm down, and he reports that the hero of the Empire, Duke Regis, has arrived, Audrey Florane with his daughter, Lady Jubilian, Eloy Florane. One of the aristocrats says that the rumors were true, because he is truly, stunningly handsome. Another replies that the Duke has not appeared anywhere for a long time, and he has not changed at all, and remains the same as before. Jubilian thinks that this is true because no one can be a better partner than the father, because he is the first handsome man of the Empire. The problem is that his accompaniment ruins all her plans. Lately, she does not understand the true intentions of her father, but at the same time, the man pulls the lady closer to him and tells her to be careful and not to stumble. When he takes the lady's hand in his, the aristocrats immediately notice the sapphire cufflinks on his sleeves and understand that these are the very same cufflinks, after which everyone understands that it was a gift for the Duke. Well, and someone else whispers to their interlocutor, "What kind of naivety is this, and do they really believe it?" It is obvious that these cufflinks are a fake that was ordered later, and the money is deposited. So buying another pair is not a problem. He's just trying to save the reputation of his daughter, who's having an affair with God knows who. But at that very moment, the Duke turns furiously to this man, and he immediately falls silent. The man thinks how dare they tell such a dirty story about the precious gift his daughter gave him. At this time, Mikhail wonders if the girl really gave them to the Duke. He understands that of course it is so. After all, she can't have another man except him, and she can't forget him so easily. At this time, the main character notices that the house is so nicely furnished, and it is very beautiful. It will be necessary to take this design into service when we sit down, and she will be independent and arrange her home. The lady also turns on the enhanced scanning mode, and her father suggests not to worry about anything and just enjoy herself. The girl thinks where her father convinced her to worry, because she was just thinking about her future. Well, the man suggests that she not forget whose daughter she is. It is not the girl who understands that she will not forget. After all, she is the daughter of Duke Regis. Audrey Florane, the hero of the Empire, and also a master of the sword, will therefore quietly enjoy the banquet and ask for forgiveness in his thoughts. At the same moment, someone else approaches the Duke and says that they are happy to hinder the hero of the Empire and his daughter. One of these ladies is the daughter of Count Arlo, named Rose Marie. Her mother says that the presence of the Duke and his daughter at the banquet in honor of his daughter's birthday is a great honor for them. At this time, Rose hesitantly approaches the lady and then grabs her hands. With a smile thanking her for coming to the banquet because she really wanted to see her, the main character smiles in response to this and understands that seeing Rose in person made her realize how charming a child the girl is. After which she congratulates her on her birthday and also holds out his little gift for her. All the aristocrats immediately think what it is. When the lady opens this thing, one of the aristocrats asks if this is really powder, but the other one is interested in why the powder compact is so small, and there is a mirror on top. Rose then wonders if this is compact powder. The main character wonders if she liked it. And in fact, girls carry around a whole box of cosmetics with them, so maybe she doesn't really need such a small option. However, the lady immediately screams that this is amazing and wonders how she even thought of this. One of the aristocrats says that this is true, and this is really something new. Her interlocutor claims that she is also seeing something like this for the first time. It is so small and thin that you can easily put it in your clutch and always have it with you. Another girl says that you can touch up your makeup yourself without asking. At that moment, everyone realizes that they also want such an amazing thing for themselves. Rose turns to Lady Florane and says that if she doesn't mind, could she ask which workshop she asked to make this compact powder, because her mother also wants to order the same one for herself. The aristocrats are wondering who will tell about the workshop in which such a revolutionary thing was made. But the main character calmly replies that in Fedor's workshop, even though he is a hammer, they can trust him because he is truly a skilled craftsman. The aristocrats are immediately shocked and realize that in high society, such things are always kept secret. So Lady Florane is just an angel. A little while later, the ball continues, and the main character goes somewhere. And a little while later, she realizes that she has finally managed to remain alone. She thought so, because after all, she feels uncomfortable surrounded by many people, and believe me, they ask all these questions. At the same moment, someone else is watching the lady from the tree. Suddenly, this man is shocked. After all, he sees that the girl is starting to cry. Jubilian understands that she will turn away home. The girl thinks that she only needs to take a breath, and tears immediately start flowing like a stream. But she is terribly tired. At that moment, someone else comes down from the tree and asks why she is crying. When the main character turns around, she sees in front of her that same father's student. Jubilian thinks what he forgot there and also wants to ask him about it. But the guy just loses her tears and says that he doesn't know what happened, but let her not cry. He also wonders if someone dared to touch her, and will later tell him who this bastard is. The main character is surprised by this and understands that not only did Thogo come from nowhere, but he is also talking some kind of nonsense. The lady asks if someone really touched her, he would make sure that this person would get into trouble. The man replies that this is true because he made a promise that he would help her. Jubelian thinks that she is glad that he is thinking about her, and then he wonders if he really expected such words, and if he does as he plans, he will plunge into eternal sleep. It is only necessary for a commoner to speak to a nobleman on a first-name basis, and he will be immediately sentenced to capital punishment. This is a kind of demonstration of the power of the nobility. For him, this will be a direct path to the next world. People understand that she has already managed to become attached to him, so she will not allow him to walk to the chopping block with such enthusiasm. Jubelian asks if he wants to help her, then let him first stop addressing everyone informally. Especially in front of other people, he needs to show respect. The guy asks what she said and why he did it. The main character replies that depending on his words, he can acquire both allies and enemies. The nobles are especially sensitive to the form in which they are addressed, and no one knows whether the status system will ever be abolished or not. So let him henceforth treat those around him with great respect. And of course, in private, he can address her as you. If he shows her his respect, then other people will respect her too. The lady also asks if it is clear to him now, and the guy replies that he understands. The girl also asks what he is doing at the banquet, and he replies that he is on business. But in fact, he came because of Jubelian. The girl wonders if he was hired as a temporary guard. At this time, the brunette is wondering why she is there, and what she is doing, partner, since he left her alone. The main character replies that her father is now in the banquet hall, and the brunette wonders if she didn't say that she was going to choose her relative as a partner. The main character then tells how her father said that he would go to the banquet with her, and says that somehow it happened. The guy also asks, what about dancing, because the music is playing all the time, and she is there alone. Jubelian realizes that if you think about it, no one has ever invited her to dance, and that makes sense since she's been acting like a complete idiot all this time. In fact, it's all because of his father, but the brunette now understands that for the first time, he is worried about someone. He extends his hand to the lady, and the main character asks why he is doing this. Max, a little embarrassed, asks if she really doesn't understand, because he's inviting her to dance. Jubelian asks if he can dance, and that it's so cool. After which, she extends her hand in response. And the guy says that she should know that this is a great honor, because he doesn't dance with just anyone. Jubelian, watching this guy, understands that he is really very handsome, and also says that it is a great honor for her. She understands that, nevertheless, she will still have to lead. But at that very moment, the brunette takes the initiative, and the main character wonders if he really dances that well. As the dance continues, the lady keeps thinking why he dances so well, because this guy is definitely not a newbie in dancing. But suddenly, she stumbles and starts to fall. The brunette immediately says that it is dangerous and asks her to pull herself together. Well, when he grabs the lady by the hand, he notices how close they are to each other. The guy is a little embarrassed by this and understands that he didn't come there to do this, but little by little the distance between them is decreasing. But at that very moment, they hear someone shaking a glass of wine in their hands. This man screams for the guy to immediately move away from her, and when the two turn around, they understand that it is the Duke, and the man is interested in what the guy is doing. The man understands that for the first time, he tried to spend time peacefully with his daughter. But a little while ago, when the aristocrats spoke to him, the man thought how sick he was of it. He also noticed that Jubelian had gone out onto the terrace and wondered if she was okay. The Duke thought that she had simply decided to take a little rest from the hustle and bustle. At this time, Michael noticed that Jubelian had gone to a secluded place. He also wondered if she meant to tell him to follow her. But when the guy wanted to go there, he suddenly noticed someone's gaze on him. It turned out to be the Duke, and Michael was shocked, wondering if his attitude towards him had really changed so abruptly. The guy also wondered if the reason was that he broke up with his daughter. And the Duke, looking at Mikhail, thinks what a piece of trash he is, after which the guy turns around and curses in his thoughts. At this time, the man remembers how he read a letter in which Mikhail wrote that if she asks him for forgiveness, he will agree to meet with her again. The Duke also wonders if he was such a nasty guy when he sees the guy making his way among the aristocrats. He understands that this is great, because he caught this annoying porridge, so now nothing can stop his daughter from enjoying the banquet. But at that very moment, he heard his daughter asking if he could dance. The Duke understood that besides her, there was someone else there, and that someone was a man. He also thought that since he didn't notice him right away, it should be said that he was a pretty talented guy. The man understood that it would be possible to find out later what family this young man was from. But at that very moment, he heard the lady scream. The Duke at that moment ran to her in shock and wondered if something bad had happened to her. Well, when he opened the door, he saw these two in this situation and told this bastard to immediately move away from her. The man also recalls how Michael, when he was little, said that he would not thank the Duke, because he does it for the sake of an oath, because he promised that he would take him as a student. The man understands that if you exclude his good looks and ball skills, all that remains is just an arrogant prince with a terrible character. Nevertheless, he took him under his guardianship because this was the last will of the late empress. But the man wonders if he really dared to look at Jubelian. The main character, at this time, looks at her father's hand and then takes it in her own. The girl asks worriedly if he is okay, after which the man smiles about the main game, does not think about why he does this, and whether he decided to find her, because he noticed her absence. The lady looking at her father's hand understands that there is wine and red liquid in it, thinks about how best to process it, but her father says that he will ask about the details later, and first suggests leaving there. The girl understands that if she believes the expression on his face, it seems he has calmed down a little. However, she wonders if he squeezed her hand too hard. At the same moment, someone else grabs her other hand, and he says that it seems the lady has injured her leg. But at that very moment, the Duke pushes Max away, and she tells him not to worry, because it's none of his business, because this is his daughter. The man immediately lifts the lady into his arms and says that he will sort everything out himself from now on, so let him not come to the mansion anymore. Max only remains silent in response and watches them leave. The main character understands that a person who, in most cases, will remain an observer, now shows such care, and it seems that the father really values his student. It seems she doesn't know what he's really like. Well, then the lady remembers how the Duke said it was because she was his daughter. The girl also understands that she needs to give up hope because she knows perfectly well how it will all end. But at that very moment, they go out into the banquet hall, and the main character is shocked and wonders if he is really going to carry her across the entire hall. Jubelian tells her father that everything is fine, and he doesn't have to carry her, but the man replies that she injured her leg. That's why she can't strain herself. The main character thinks that this is not the issue at all, and in their thoughts, they ask her to let go, because it is terribly embarrassing. The girl also begs the ladies and gentlemen to stop staring at her, to just let her fall through the ground. A little while later, someone asks the Duke what happened to Lady Florane. Well, the man replies that his daughter is not feeling well, so they have to leave. A little while later, one of the aristocrats asks how it was possible to cause such a commotion at someone else's party. Another one wonders if she really wanted to attract attention to herself, and knowing about Lady Florane's character, well, she's probably right. But at the same moment, someone else says that it seems like everyone has already forgotten that Lady Florane was ill. It turns out to be Miss Rose, and the girl says that she probably hasn't fully recovered from her illness yet. She also thinks that it's very generous of her to attend her birthday banquet despite being sick. The girl asks if they think so, and the aristocrats immediately answer that, of course. Someone else says that Lady Florane was always in poor health, and she even heard that she lost consciousness several times. Another lady says that this is why she is always so pale. Mikhail, hearing this, thinks that they are talking about poor health. Doesn't mean she wasn't faking illness. The guy remembers the lady asking him to wait, and he realizes that Jubelian always looked very exhausted when she followed him. At the time, he thought that all this was just a way to attract attention, but now he doesn't understand where this pain in his chest came from. The EGE at this time, Ortega, and the man, he is a cat, sometimes his daughter, and also says that the doctor said that she needs a little rest. He also asked to refrain from going outside for several days. Now let the lady rest, and if she feels unwell, let her call him immediately. Has been acting like this lately. Her father used to treat her like a nobody, but now he treats her like a daughter. Jubelian also thinks what difference does it make to him, how she feels, and what is sacred to him. But then she completely understands that there is some benefit after all, because if he plans to marry her off to the crown prince, then her health must be in perfect order. The lady was sure that parting with Mikhail would delay her plunge into eternal sleep. Well, instead of Mikhail, her father is now trying to install the crown prince and run away from the little dog. She came across an elephant. The lady understands that she cannot allow this, and if she sits idly by, her life will not end. The lady also thinks that her father should watch carefully, because she is not going to get married. At this time, the crown prince sits in a blooming salon and wonders why this girl has settled in his thoughts. If he had come a little closer, then... But suddenly, the guy notices what he is thinking about, and turning his head, he thinks what this is. Madame Priscilla watches all this. She realizes that after the banquet, the guy started behaving even more strangely. The man turns to her at this time, and the woman unsticks, after which he tells her to send an invitation on his behalf, but let her come up with a reason for the meeting herself. The woman then replies that if the recipient is Lady Florane, then sending the invitation will be quite difficult. When a guy asks why, the woman replies that it is because this lady is now very popular in society. The main character at this time looks at a stack of sheets of paper and wonders what it all is. Marilyn replies that these are letters for the lady. The main character, looking at them, wonders if these are invitations for her. But they were whispering that she fell during someone else's banquet in order to attract attention to herself and made her the main object of criticism. And now they are sending letters with invitations. The girl wonders if disclosing information about the workshop really helped change her image. After which she tells him everything, that the girl did a good job, so she can be free to, which she agrees. The main character understands that from now on, she will use any excuse to refuse to attend the banquet. She needs to send everyone letters of refusal, citing health problems. Well, at that very moment, the maid also tells the lady that the butler asked her to give her a letter that needs to be answered first. When the main character picks up this letter, she understands that it is from Count Herond. This is the family of Her Majesty, the late Empress. The girl understands that letters with this last name often came to her father, but they never contacted her, after which she puts it all down on the table and realizes that even if it is urgent, she is not in the mood to write a reply right now. Perhaps right now her father is arranging a meeting with the crown prince for her, and the lady is thinking about how she can get out of this. Jubilian understands that she has already racked her brains but can't think of anything. The only thing that comes to her mind is the option with a man who has received some kind of recognition from his father. But at the same moment, the ladies hear someone knocking on the window, and when they turn around, then he sees the crown prince, who says that it is him, and asks to open the window. Jubilian understands that this guy is clearly in some kind of quarrel with the doors. She also thinks that we need to wait, because father said that he would find him himself if he needed him. So why the student came to their house? He's just like a street cat that follows a passerby to beg for food. Well then, the main character suddenly realizes that this is what she needs. She immediately opens the window and pulls the guy into the room, after which she greets him. But suddenly, the girl also hits his chest. The brunette asks in shock if everything is okay, and the girl replies that everything is fine. And she wanted to ask if he wanted to do it. Max asks what she was talking about, and the main character says that she would like him to start dating her. At this time, she thinks whether she is really suggesting that he start dating her. And he hears this from a girl who has known him for a week. At most, he was waiting for the teacher to leave the house. But now he is shocked and wonders if the lady is really talking about a romantic relationship with him. And he also wonders if she really liked him all this time, and that's why she treated him so well. If she wants it so much, then he can start dating her. Although it's too early to think about it, well, if they have one daughter and one son, then that will be enough. The guy tries to hold back his smile and understands that, although it does not depend on him if twins are born, it will be so cute. The main character says that perhaps he didn't quite understand her correctly, because that's what she meant. Contractual relationship. The brunette at this time asks if she wants a contractual relationship. The main character, looking at him, understands that, as she thought, he is very handsome, and he is also his father's student, so he is not inferior to him in sword skills. He also received recognition from his father, so there is no more suitable man for the role of her lover. At this point, the guy says that a relationship is a relationship and then asks what some kind of contract is there. The girl replies that he should simply cooperate with her, But the brunette is not thrilled about this. The lady thinks that one only has to look at that expression on his face, and she doesn't think that he is ready to listen to her calmly. For a wandering mercenary without a roof over his head, time is money, and he will only be interested in what he can profit from. Jubilian says that she will give him as much money as he wants, but in return asks him to start a relationship with her. At this time, the brunette is thinking about who she takes him for, and the lady is pondering what he doesn't like. Jubilian says that naturally this relationship is temporary, so he has nothing to worry about and needs to meet with her only until she becomes independent from this house. At this time, the guy is wondering if she really wants to be independent, and whether it will be difficult to live without the support of her family. He also asks why she needs all these difficulties and wonders if he remembers the main character. After all, she said that her father made a list of her suitors, and the problem was that her father had made his choice. Max says that if she doesn't like him so much, then she should tell her father about it. The girl replies that such people are not refused, and the brunette wonders what kind of person this is, since the Duke's daughter cannot refuse him. The main character hesitates a little and says that she will tell him, but asks him to keep his mouth shut. After all, if anyone finds out, there will be big problems, to which the guy agrees and replies that he will keep it a secret. He also suggests the lady to speak and not to worry. The girl is silent for a while. Then he even says that it is Maximilian Kishan Asset when the guy wants to say something. Then he suddenly stops, and the girl adds that this is the crown prince of the empire. The guy, confused, asks if the crown prince is really on the list of candidates. Well, the lady replies that this is exactly the case. The guy, shocked, replies that it's strange and that it simply can't be. Jubilian asks, what's so strange about it, since it is the Duke's daughter after all? In terms of status, they come immediately after the Imperial family, and besides, it is beneficial for the father, so that the Imperial family would finally leave him alone. The lady understands that in addition, thanks to the founder of the empire, the supreme mage Asset, who, with the help of magic, solved all the problems of the Imperial people treat his descendants, who now rule as gods. The boundless respect and reverence of the Imperial people for the Imperial family of the Carnival gave the ruler absolute power. The lady claims that she cannot be the first to reject a suitor from the Imperial family, because it will be perceived as a rebellion against the absolute of this country. And she is also the daughter of the Duke of this empire, so I can hardly imagine the consequences. So before her father talks to her about seeing someone, she has to show him that she's already dating someone. The father is a smart man, and he will not introduce the prince to his daughter, who is having a relationship with another man. And the brunette at this time thinks whether she really doesn't like him that much. The guy also asks, what if the crown prince doesn't care about her lover? After all, you can't say for sure that he might like her. The main character already imagines this, after which she is completely shocked, thinking what he is talking about. The guy also asks if such a marriage is not beneficial to her. Her husband will later become the ruler of the empire and will be able to give her everything she wants. The girl looks at his serious expression and then thinks a little, and she says that she will run away anyway. Max asks why she wants to run away, and the lady answers that, of course, because she does not want to marry a sadistic tyrant, and it is better to live alone her whole life. The man is shocked, and the main character wonders what is wrong with him. At this time, the brunette replies that he understood everything and leaves, but when the girl asks him to wait, he just jumps off the balcony. Jubilian thinks why he left so quickly, and he should have at least said whether he refuses or not, and then left no. A little while later, the brunette returns to the blooming salon and loudly slams the door, after which everyone sits down on the sofa, and Madame Priscilla wonders if he came back too early, and she also doesn't understand why he's in such a bad mood. The woman asks His Highness if something has happened to him, but the man only wonders what it means if a girl wants to run away from her fiancé. Madame Priscilla asks if he is interested, because he does not know, and he wants to hear something other than the obvious. This means that she hates the man she chose terribly. The guy wonders if she really hates him. The woman also says that the reason for his terrible mood is the meeting with Lady Floyenne. Well, damn, she replies that it is none of her business. The lady with the blonde hair wonders if he has proposed to her, and Lady Floyenne said that she wanted to run away from him. The brunette at this time only furiously asks who else proposed to whom, and it would be more correct to say that it is Jubilian for him. The woman at the same moment asks if this is so. Well, the guy says that they passed by and asks if there is any news from the emperor. His interlocutor replies that everything has not changed, and he still demands his return. She also adds that there is something important, because the empress sent an assassin again, and he was taken alive, after which the woman asks what his further instructions will be. The boy thinks about his stepmother, who has been trying to take his life since his early childhood. The current empress, Isabella Rosti Osset, is involved in his mother's eternal sleep. And now she has started acting again, after which the guy is thinking about what he should do. And is it worth immediately putting this assassin into eternal sleep and sending a gift to the empress, or in the morning repay her in the same coin and send her one too? A gift, well, at that very moment, the guy remembers how the lady said that, of course she should run away, because how can she marry this sadistic tyrant? After which, the guy tells him everything, so that this man's life is spared, and the woman is very surprised. She understands that the crown prince is not one of those who will simply close his eyes to such things, but still says that it will be done. At this time, the guy, just in case, asks if he has received any marriage proposals. The woman wonders what he is talking about, after which he replies that it seems not to be the case, and if something similar suddenly comes up, she will personally notify him about it. She also wonders why he asks, but the brunette remains hopelessly silent, after which he all rises from his place and says that he is leaving Madame Priscilla, understands that in recent days it is really difficult to take care of him. The main character is at the table at this time and understands the table for the first time in a long time. She is finally having dinner with her father. The lady also thinks that she feels very awkward because she should have somehow held him back. At this time, the Duke turns to his daughter, and the main character mentally asks him just not to talk about the bride show. Well, at that very moment, her father says that he would like to ask what she thinks about the crown prince. The girl turns pale from such words and understands that he started talking about this. The lady also thinks why this happened to her, and answers that she doesn't know, because she never thought about him, and also can't say anything. The girl thinks that it's time to change the subject and says that when he mentioned the middle prince, the first thing she thought of. This book about the formation of their state that she recently read, the story about the founding of the empire by the first emperor, was quite interesting, especially the part describing the various artifacts of the emperor. The man freezes at that moment, and the main character asks if they are now being presented to the emperor as well. The Duke at that moment rises from his seat and says that he has urgent business, so he will finish his registration first, and she can continue to have dinner in peace. The lady wonders what's wrong with his face, and he's not the kind of person who leaves so abruptly. The man heads outside at this time and realizes that he should have held back, and he didn't even answer his daughter. The Duke understands what it means. Jubilian is studying information about the imperial families. Although the story may not reveal the whole truth, if this child notices even one small detail, it will greatly complicate the situation. The man also thinks about her meeting with Max, and understands that no matter how naive Jubilian is, she cannot be aware of the prince's terrible reputation. And despite all this, she will accept him. Jubilian's happiness. He cannot allow this to happen under any circumstances. At this time, the main character opens the door and turns to her father, asking if he is there. The man asks why Jubilian went out, and the girl replies that he had a strange expression on his face, and she went out to ask if everything was okay with her father. The girl realizes that she actually followed him because she was worried that she had screwed up somewhere. The Duke then smiles and realizes that his daughter was worried about him. He also throws his jacket on her. A says that it is very cold today, so let her go inside. The main character is shocked and wonders if her father really smiled at her, while the man says that he thinks it would be nice if Jubilian found out more about the crane print. The girl wonders if she really needs to find out more about the assistants that might be going to put him into eternal sleep, and as she thought her father plans to force her to marry him. But now the girl with a smile on her face answers that she will do as her father said, after which she wishes him good night and leaves. It is at this time that she understands that for happiness, Jubilian, he will not allow her to tie her fate to this man. The girl at this time understands that she has made a decision, and once again he will offer Max to date under a contract. A little while later, the girl lies down on the table, and she understands that she is lost, because she feels like she is tied hand and foot. Day after day, she dances on the blade of a knife, and in addition, She has an upset stomach, so she can't even sleep normally. At that moment, the maid comes into the room and apologizes to the mistress for disturbing her at such a late hour. But she could not give her the letter that arrived in the evening, so she will give it to her now. When the main character opens this letter, she sees that it is from Rose. The girl asks with concern about the lady's health and says that she hopes her health will improve in the future. The main character thinks what a sweet girl she is, and she thought that Taurus was angry because she left the banquet so suddenly, and Lady One showed such attentiveness. She also sees an invitation to a tea party from behind and realizes that lately all she does is sit at home, so maybe she should go once. The girl thinks that this is true, and taking advantage of the opportunity, she should find out what stories are currently circulating about the prince in high society. For example, what he hates most. A little while later, Rose says that Lady Florine has sent an answer. The girl with a smile on her face says that fortunately, she said that she has completely recovered. Her interlocutor says what a relief it is that her illness was not so serious, and the other says that she was so worried about herself because there was no news from her. The lady with pink hair said that, in addition, she expressed a desire to attend their tea party, and the girl wondered how they felt about Lady Florine being present at their party. One of the girls says that naturally they are very happy about this, and the other claims that she really wanted to see her again. Rose turns to Veronica and says that they agreed that the next tea party will be at her house, and asked if Leon would mind. The girl froze after these words and wondered if her interlocutor had really said that a woman from the state would come to her home. But pursing her lips, she still answered that yes, and so be it. Rose thanked Veronica for supporting her proposal, and she would notify Lady Florine about it. A little while later, Veronica heads back and says how rude and impolite it is, because the one who is hosting the guests should invite them for tea. So how can Miss Arlo so unceremoniously invite her friends? Her interlocutor at this time turns to the lady and says that he is terribly tired. Then he suggests talking about this next time. The girl then gets a little upset and claims that this familiar person is Lady Florine. The guy turns around at that moment and asks if she is really saying that Lady Florine will come to her tea party. The girl replies that yes, and thinks how this could have happened. But at that very moment, the guy approaches her, after which he takes a strand of her hair and asks if she can invite him to her tea party. After all, Lady Florine will be there, and he is very worried about Veronica. The girl is confused and wonders if he really said that he is worried about her, and then he says yes and thanks him. The guy just smirks after that. And he understands that he will finally meet Jubilian. A little while later, the main character is on the arcade street. The girl understands that this is an informal meeting that should seem formal. The plan for today is to choose a suitable outfit. Well, the lady understands that her father has once again introduced her to a bunch of bodyguards, and she is worried whether she will be able to go shopping normally now. When a lady looks at all these outfits, she understands that she needs something better. However, when her gaze falls on one of the dresses, she realizes that this is too much, and it seems that this design is popular now. Jubilian thinks what she should do because it seems that no matter what store she goes to, it will all be the same. The girl also wonders whether it is worth following fashions, but at that same moment, someone else turns to her and says that if she were in her place, she wouldn't wear something like that. It turns out to be Madame Precia. The woman says that she is glad to see the lady, and it seems that she is also going to go shopping. Jubilian wonders if this woman knows her, after which he agrees, and one of the knights understands that it means that after all, there are people who treat the lady kindly, and finally, in the midst of a society where all they did was show their hostility, a good person was found. Madame at this time says that the lady's body is thin and fragile, so this model does not suit her at all. There is no need to wear uncomfortable and ill-fitting clothes just to follow fashion trends. This doesn't suit her at all innate elegance, and the girl understands that this is true because such clothes really do not suit her at all. The main character thanks the lady for the advice and says that she will take it into account. The woman smiles and thinks that now she understands why His Highness was so carried away by Lady Florine. But up close, she is even more beautiful, so she will have to report this to the Duke, and this will definitely please him. The main character understands that, thanks to Madame Precia, she realized what she needs. A little while later, the lady is already happy because the shopping is over. She made an order for the custom design she wanted, and now she can go home. But at that very moment, she hears someone screaming, "How dare the guy harm the nobleman, and let him apologize immediately." The lady wonders if this is another idiot who wants to satisfy his pride by humiliating others. Then she looks at this man and wonders if he is not Baron Gordon, who is known as a terrible bastard. At the same moment, someone else asks him if it wasn't his own fault that he fell, and why he should apologize to him. The lady understands the state, a manner of speech, devoid of any politeness, that even Baron Gordon is far from. And this man has a voice that easily brings you down to earth. The main character is shocked to realize that this is her father's student. The Baron immediately screams, "How dare the guy talk about a nobleman in such a tone?" and asks what this guy is doing. After which, he screams out that this impudent commoner should be arrested immediately, and the guy thinks whether he should put this man into eternal sleep. Well, it will be difficult to do if he is arrested. At that moment, the main character stands in front of him and tells them to stop. The Baron is surprised by this and asks if she is really the daughter of Duke Florane. The main character greets him on behalf of the Duke and states that her name is Jubilian Eloy Florane. The man immediately bows and says that he is glad to pay his respects to the daughter of the Grand Duke and that he is a small man. The main character says that she knows Baron Gordon and invites him to raise his head. The man wonders if they really know him in the house of the hero of the empire. After which, he even thinks that this is very good, because if he manages to butter her up, then today will no longer be boring. He also says, what part is this? Because apparently he was born under a lucky star, since he was able to accidentally meet her like this. The girl asks if this is true, and says that fortune has apparently turned its back on her today. The man at the same moment asks what she is talking about, and maybe he did something wrong. Jubilian understands that he is so confident and daring when he yells at the common people, and so he grovels before her, so let him get what he deserves. And the lady cries out that in the name of her father, the hero of the empire, Regis Audrey Florane, she forbids him to pursue her people, because in the Korean language, the words love and man differ only in the last letter. Then Max heard the word love. The main character whispers that he should not be surprised that she called him her man, because she is just trying to save him from the noblemen. The man understands that she said not love, but people, and he messed everything up again. The girl immediately screams that he just threatened her personal knight, who is her father's knight. But the real knights who followed the flood think about what the lady is talking about and what is happening. The girl also asks if he thinks he will get away with offending a knight serving Duke Florane. At this time, the brunette is wondering if she really called him her personal knight, but he hoped that she said that he was her love. But still, he is just her man. The Baron cries out, did he really offend? And it was the guy who pushed him, so that he ended up on the ground. And therefore, after this, add to this, the disdainful attitude towards the nobleman. In fact, Baron Gordon started the argument first. One of the ladies asked if her friend had seen this guy, because he seemed to have come down from Olympus, and this beauty that cannot be hidden even under a cloak. Max was paid more attention to than defense, so he decided to use his position to mock him. And of course, it is true that Max succumbed to provocation and was rude to Harrow. The man at this time asks how Lady Florane intends to compensate him for this damage, because this guy is not an angel at all. At this time, Diamond understands that he is simply speechless, because now the Baron is trying to get her to give him money. It is impossible to negotiate with such people, because he will continue to stand his ground. The girl lies there, inhales, and asks if the Baron can't at least show understanding. This knight grew up in the mountains, so he doesn't know how this world works. And of course, she is also to blame for not being able to teach him etiquette, but since she is his lady, she will take responsibility. But as expected from Lady Florane, she is a truly honest person, after which the man asks how much she will give him, and the prince understands that his hands are already itching to twist off his head. The girl only answers that he should express disdain, and he can address her without due respect, as her knight had done earlier in relation to the Baron. The man is surprised by this, and the lady screams at him to immediately show her his disdain. The Baron, shocked, asks how he can show disdain to Lady Florane. The brunette watching the girl understands that she looks so innocent, but in fact she is quite a tough nut, and wherever the girl goes, she can cope with any situation. The Baron looks at the girl a little as if, and thinks, what a damned idiot she is. And the lady children know perfectly well that he cannot break etiquette when talking to her. The man at the same moment says that it was he who created all this commotion, and therefore hopes that she will magnanimously forgive him. While the main characters do not answer, that it seems to her that the person to whom he should apologize is not her, but her knight. The man clenches his fists, but then turns to the knight and asks him to forgive him, because it seems they had a misunderstanding. He also thinks that he bowed his head to some commoner. And even if his patron is Lady Florane, how dare he be so insolent towards him? However, the prince at that moment looks at him as if he were worthless, and the Baron wonders what kind of look that was. He also turns around and says that it's time for him to go. The guy also wonders what the lady called him, and whether he is Baron Gordon and she saved his life. At this time, the main character turns to the guy and asks if he is okay, and also if he is very scared, because he almost ended up in big trouble. Max wonders if the lady thought he couldn't handle this small fry. However, he still has to thank her for her help. But at that same moment, the guy remembers how the lady asked him to stop addressing her informally, especially in front of other people, because if he shows her his respect, then others will respect her too. Jubelian wonders what is wrong with him, since he is so silent today. The brunette then takes the lady's roque into his own and says that he is grateful to Lady Florane for saving him. The other ladies are delighted by this, and the main character understands why he started to bow and scrape so much. Was it really because of her request to talk to her politely in front of other people, and he decided to obediently fulfill it right now? The guy says that although some time ago there was a very unpleasant situation, he is glad that, thanks to this, he was able to defeat Milady because he just needed to tell her something. The girl asks what exactly, and her interlocutor answers that he agrees to meet with her under a contract. The girl immediately shuts his mouth and tells the guy to wait, because how could he even talk about this right in the middle of the square? The lady at the same moment is interested in what kind of relationship the lady has with that man. Or the girl understands that this is a pose that can be misunderstood. Her interlocutor says that she thinks they are more than just acquaintances. Jubelian is embarrassed by this, after which everyone tells him to follow her faster. When they are heading somewhere in a carriage, the girl says that in fact, he did not give an answer for so long that she already decided that he would refuse her, after which she also asks if she can find out why he changed his mind. The guy understands that it is not that he changed his mind, and the reason why he did not agree right away. It is that people claimed that she does not want to marry the prince, and it is better to plunge into eternal sleep alone. The girl said that he is a sadist and a tyrant. That's why she hates him. The guy understands that the sadist and tyrant she hates so much is him. At this time, Jubelian thinks that there are probably some circumstances for which he cannot answer. And the brunette understands that he can't say who he really is right now. The girl at this time also asks what he was doing on the arcade street, and if he came to go shopping, then why doesn't she see his purchases? But the brunette at the same moment asks, what's wrong with that, and can't he go out somewhere without a special reason? The girl understands that he could have answered politely, and why snap back like that? She even helped him recently, and this idiot treats her like this. The brunette looks at the lady at this time, and then remembers how Madame Precia said that they had new information Lady Florane is going to attend a tea party that will take place in a few days, and Sir Michael is also going to attend this event. The Crown Prince asked why he was carried there. The woman answered that she did not even know, and usually an attempt to meet again with a former lover means that there are some regrets about the breakup. The brunette at the same moment said that he would go for a little walk, and the lady insisted. What does she think now? Mrs. Florane is not in the mansion. The guy understands that this is why he came there after receiving information about her location, and he should have stopped Mikhail before he did anything at the tea party. He simply has to be there because they started dating under a contract, and that means he can become her partner. And then he will make sure that this bastard does not come closer than a kilometer to her. The main character ponders what he is thinking about, that he has such a menacing expression on his face, after which she even suggests talking about the contract and its terms. But the brunette says that first, he wants to ask about something, and wonders why Letty made such an offer to him. The main character replies that even if he doesn't have a home or money, He is still a student who has received her father's approval. The guy wonders if she decided to date him for this reason, and not because she likes him. The guy also wonders, what the heck, was he the only one who was serious again? The girl claims that this is not the only reason, because among all the men she knows, he is the only one with whom she feels so comfortable that she can ask for such a favor. Max says that this is how, after which he gets a little embarrassed and thinks that this is quite enough. Jubilian understands that, despite the fact that his character is complete crap, his face is definitely to her taste. Late at the same moment says that now they need to finally discuss the terms and asks how much is owed for her. Well, as soon as the lady starts talking about money, the guy seems to fade away. The girl thinks that he should remove this terrible expression from his beautiful pilot. At the same moment, the guy replies that he doesn't need money because he just wants to pay back the debt for causing her inconvenience. Well, the main character at that very moment grabs his hands and asks if he is a Shaolin monk by any chance. But if you look at him more closely, he is kindness itself. Then the lady says that as payment, she is always ready to provide him with her room and food, and if he needs anything, he should just tell her. The brunette replies that he understands, after which he tells the lady to let go of his hand and suggests continuing the conversation. Jubilian asks what he is saying, because from now on they have to play the role of a couple in love, and he is confused because of such a trifle. The girl also thinks that this is not just some kind of comedy, and her life depends on this performance. Jubilian says that now that they have a contractual relationship, they will often hold hands, intertwining their fingers, and he will also have to affectionately call her by name. Max thinks that he will, and will do it, although he is still not very ready. The main character at this time says that they still have not introduced themselves to each other, and when she is about to say her name, the brunette says that she is Jubilian, and he has known her name for a long time. The girl wonders if he really knew her name and continued to address her informally. The brunette is wondering why she is holding his hands so tightly, and this is some kind of madness. Jubilian is asking if his name is Max, because she remembers how her father used to call him that. Well, the guy answers that it is true, but still avoids looking. The lady understands that this name is translated from Latin as the greatest, and it has a good meaning. This guy will go far, and his face is so beautiful. So as she thought, she likes him. The girl also says that he has a good name, and it seems that his parents wanted him to become an outstanding person, so they chose such a name. The guy sits with a smile on his face from such words, but at the same moment, people return to talking about the contract. The guy's face immediately changes, but he wonders if this contract is really so necessary, since he seemed to have made it clear that he doesn't need money. The lady wonders what her father was doing, since he didn't even teach his subordinate some sense. The girl also tells him to listen to the eyelids. Any contractual relationship must be regulated by a contract, and if there is no document fixing the terms of their contract, then she can use him as she wants. She can also do very bad things, and to make him bear responsibility for it. Well, the brunette says that she would never do that. And the main character thinks, what is this about? After all this time, she lived as a villain, and it is completely natural that everyone hated her. That's why all the most disgusting actions were always attributed to her, and no one believed her, even when she was on the verge of falling into eternal sleep. But this man believes her. But the lady still says that, in fact, it is usually those who people trust who deceive. The brunette asks if he is serious, and the lady asks how he cannot know such basic things. So let him not believe even the closest people on their words and always sign a contract on paper. Max says yes, and everything is clear. And the girl thinks whether he really understood everything, she has to teach him a lot while they are dating under the contract. And firstly, the lady approaches him and also says that before they sign the contract, they need to kiss. The guy in shock asks what she is talking about, and the girl tells him to move closer to her, because it is very important. Max wonders if she is really suggesting to move on to active actions right away. After which he keeps saying that maybe it is not worth going so far. The main character understands that no, and it is necessary to do this because it is very important. At this time, Brad wonders if this is how his first kiss will end up. The lady at this time whispers that her bodyguard Geraldine will definitely ask him how they met, so they should kiss beforehand. But at the same moment, they hear some sound, and the main character thinks what it is. When she turns around, she realizes that it was just the carriage that hit a bump and apologizes to the guy. The brunette at this time thinks about the kiss and says that they should kiss beforehand. Jubilian asks if it is really stuffy in the carriage because he blushed. And the guy replies that no and asks what her plan is. A little while later, someone says that madam, explained what it all means and what is going on. The girl apologizes for introducing him to them so late and then claims that he is her lover. He screams what the lady is even talking about and let her come to her senses because they always accompany her and have never seen anyone like him before. The knight also wonders if she has chosen someone again just for a pretty face. Jubilian understands that they have no trust in the girl's taste in men at all, and the lady with a smile on her face says that, of course, they don't know anything because she met him a long time ago during a banquet at the residence of Count Meissen. The guy wonders if this man is an aristocrat, and despite the fact that he is dressed like a mercenary, the way he holds himself indicates that he has a high status, so he is interested in what kind of family the guy is from. The main character says that of course he is not an aristocrat because he was one of the mercenaries who were used for additional security. One of the knights is shocked and thinks whether he is a mercenary, and he thought about it. But is it really serious? Is this guy a warrior from the road? After which, one of them says that he is very curious how a simple mercenary managed to get close to a lady. Brunette, really, an ordinary knight, allows himself such a bold look in his direction. Only the teacher and his subordinates know his face, so at such moments, it is annoying. Well, he has to endure it, so that everything goes according to her plan. A little while ago, These screamed that she never wants this. The brunette asked if it wasn't usually the other way around, because he saves her, and then, but the girl replies that it won't work. He knows that knights always follow her, and the story about him saving her will look absurd, because who would dare to do that? It will be difficult only at the beginning, but when they reach the middle of the scenario, everything will become simple, and he will be able to just stand there and nod along. The man agreed to this, and the main character says that everything is simple and she saved him. At that moment, a crowd of noble ladies surrounded him, and when the girl entered the stall, asking if anyone had seen Mikhail, then upon seeing her, all the ladies immediately ran away, and it worked out so well. Then the man said that she was now his benefactor, and that he wanted to repay her for her help. The knights looked at the lady with distrust, after which one of them whispered to the other that in truth the lady had recently saved him too. And it seems that inside this gloomy thug, there is a helpless kitten hiding. The main character says that he captured her heart, not that day, but later, when they, by the will of fate, met again at a banquet in the residence of Count Arlo. And then, again, when they ran into each other on the arcade street, the main character also asks if this man is the same, and then offers him to go. One of the knights thinks about what fate the lady is talking about, and whether she chose him not because of his pretty face. Jubilian steps on the same rake again. The main character then tells them to wait, and looking at the knights' faces, it seems that they are now neglecting her beloved because of his origin. The knights immediately answer that this is not so, and Jubilian asks where this is not so. And do they really think that she did not notice how they were making terrifying faces at him? The knights are thinking at this time that she should turn back, because it is that guy who keeps staring at them. One of them realizes that he also has a very unusual aura. And who the hell is he, because this energy seems familiar? The main character at this time takes the guy by the arm and whispers that almost everything, and also tells him to just look at how his hands are shaking. The lady asks if he is okay, and the guy replies that everything is fine, after which the girl tells him not to worry, because no matter what happens, she will protect him. Max, hearing this, only smiles, and understands that, strangely enough, he likes it. But when they meet the Duke, he drops his cup of tea and turns to his daughter in shock. The girl only tells her father that she wants to officially introduce this guy to him because he is her beloved. Max understands that this is love that puts his life at risk. The man understands that today, when Jubilian was going for a walk, he assigned knights to her, and everything was as usual. Although he was a little embarrassed by the dried flower in the living room, he still planned to have a quiet dinner when his daughter will return. But when the lady returned, she told her father that she wanted to introduce him to her lover. The girl understands that she would have told him in any case, and just wanted it to look more convincing, but she still doesn't understand. Why is her expression even angrier than she imagined? The girl also tells Max to say hello and asks if they know her father. The man at this time only addresses Jubilian and asks what is going on right now. The main character wonders if the one who didn't give a damn about all her quirks has now become so furious. Naturally, he is upset because she won't marry the candidate he chose for her, and she picked his precious student as a replacement. The girl tells her father that everything is as she already told him. Although they decided to enter into an official relationship, Viklite understands that this plan of her father will never come true. The man is shocked, wondering how this could have happened, and understands that he should have been even more vigilant so that this scoundrel would not even think of looming near his daughter. A little while later, they already come to the living room. The brunette pulls out a chair for the lady, and the main character thanks him. The Duke, watching this, thinks what a bastard the guy is, because he dared to deceive his daughter like that. He also understands that Maximilian's intentions are simply obvious. A little while ago, he screamed for the guy to stop immediately. He told the teacher that this guy is no longer their comrade because he is just a cowardly traitor, and they should take advantage of this opportunity and show their guys his body, because it will serve as a good lesson for them. The Duke turned to Max in shock, and now he understands what a scoundrel he is. Jubilian is just a tool for him to get him away and speed up the uprising, after which the man asks how these two met, and the main character thinks that this is how it began. Although Geraldine and the other knights believed her lie, "This won't work for us, father, and the best way to get out of this water dry is to mix truth and lies well." The girl says that on the day when he was absent, the guy paid them a visit, but since he was not there, he came to her. It was already too late to send him home empty-handed, so she put him to bed in her room. The Duke is shocked and wonders if they really slept together in the same room. The main character says that nothing happened, but the brunette looks at the guy and wonders if he really dares to nod. Naturally, nothing should have happened, but the man thinks what a scoundrel this guy is. If he had allowed himself to touch her, he would never have left this mansion. The man also says that his daughter could have told Derek about the guest, since he would have given him a room. The main character replies that it was already quite late, and she felt uncomfortable calling him, and she also felt awkward talking about it, because she would have to go to the Knights, and she thought that her father's student certainly wouldn't cause her any inconvenience. At this time, the man is wondering why she got involved with the most dangerous person in the country. He tried to change this guy several times, but Max was already a cruel tyrant, and if it didn't change, it would be because of his ruthlessness. He will not only harm his daughter, but everything can end even worse. Most likely, she does not even know that her life is in danger, and the man understands that it is all his fault, because he should not have accepted this guy as a student. At this time, the lady turns to her father and says that, although she is ashamed to admit it before this, all she did was suffer from unrequited love. Therefore, she thinks that the fact that she is liked by the one she likes is just a miracle. Although before this, she lived too chaotically, and he may not believe her, but she promises that she will never tarnish her father's name. Therefore, he asks for his consent to their relationship. The man understands that his daughter says that she will not tarnish his name, but it is not worth it. He also remembers little Jubilian and understands that she is his beloved daughter, for whom he is ready to endure any pain. And if she wants something, he is ready to do anything for her. But now the man replies that he cannot give consent to this relationship. The Duke understands that he will never allow her to date him, and then tells the lady to break up with this guy. Jubilian realizes that he is serious about marrying her off to the crown prince after all. A marriage between a cruel tyrant, a mad prince, and his only daughter. The girl also thinks that this is true, because it is much more profitable to make a deal with the Imperial family than to try to save the reputation of her stupid daughter. And what should she do now but at that very moment, someone takes her hand, and when the girl turns around, she realizes that it is Max. At this time, the guy says that he doesn't want to part with her, but at the same moment, the Duke shudders. The boy tells the teacher that he once told him something very important and asks if he remembers. The teacher said that the art of wielding a sword should be used to protect what is valuable to him, and a person can gain strength by protecting his weakness. Someday, he will be able to find his weak spot. I am a creature dear to him that he will want to protect. The guy at this time takes the lady by the shoulders and says, "What are you?" It seems he has found his weakness, and also a creature dear to him that he wants to protect. The main character thinks that she should just look at him, because what an actor is wasting away, and has he really gotten so into the role? The guy at this time says that even the Duke will not be able to separate him from her, but the man tells him to stop talking this nonsense. It was that day that he called his daughter a mouse, and now he came and said that she was dear to him. The main character understands that she thought so that it was impossible to come to an agreement with her father. But the brunette says that it doesn't matter what he says now. But if he continues to object, then he won't sit idly by either, and he won't care that he is his teacher. The man says that this is how he spoke, and then he too will no longer think of him as his student. The main character is shocked and thinks why everything turned out this way. But he even said that he was ready to give up his only student. Max then asks for forgiveness and says that he also does not want such a development of events. He also turns to Jubilian. They offer her to go. The main character thinks why the two of them quarreled and also broke off relations. But at that very moment, the Duke screams for them to stand still and grabs the guy by the shoulder. The brunette only replies that he should not dare to order him around. The girl turns to Max in shock and realizes that this is not what she wanted at all. Everything has gone too far, and this whole situation has turned into a manifestation of disrespect to her father. If she leaves everything as it is and just leaves it, will look like an escape of lovers who received a blessing. So the girl asks her father to calm down, because she will figure it out herself. The man, seeing his daughter's gaze, moves away and just watches her leave. The girl at this time goes with Max and asks him to stop for a while, because she wants to tell him something. The main character answers that it is very important, and when the guy settles down, he says okay and asks what she wants to tell him. The girl answers that she is grateful that he stood up for her. What he just told her, father, was too much. The brunette says that he helped her, and the main character wonders if he really thinks that he is doing what she does not want. He is helping her. Max, puzzled, asks what she is talking about, and the lady replies that she did not want him to refuse to be his father's student and did not want to, either, so that he would be rude to him. This is not help at all, a disservice rendered only for the sake of satisfying one's own ego. The guy at this time wonders if this means that she no longer needs his help. But the main character takes him by the hand and answers that, of course, it is necessary. But because of his methods, she has no choice but to find another way to solve this problem. The guy at this time asks what she wants him to do, and the lady notes that she just needs to make peace with her father. Max, in shock, asks if they really need to make peace. Jubilian answers that someone should apologize first, and the guy asks if she really wants to, so that he would do it, after which he wants to scream that he will never apologize. But when he sees the lady's expression, he falls silent. The girl understands that of course he will not want to do this, because it hurts his pride and he will feel like a loser. Her problem anyway, so asking him for more is going too far. Well, at that very moment, the guy agrees and says that he will apologize. The main character thinks what he just said, and the Duke, who was watching them, is also surprised and thinks that this guy really changed his mind because of us. The main character thanks him with a smile on her face. Her father wonders if this guy has really changed Jubilian. A little while later, the main character comes with him to her father, and for the fact that they left so suddenly, the girl also says that Max wants to tell him something. The man realizes that he has been watching this guy for 10 years, and he is not one of those who can easily change. However, now the guy apologizes for what happened recently, and sincerely apologizes to the teacher for his rude words and actions. The man remembers how recently a guy asked why he needed this weakness. The Duke thinks that he was like this just a few days ago, so he can't believe it. His goal is to use even his daughter to involve him in his intrigues and bow her head before him. This is also part of his plan. The heart wonders if he really thinks he will let this happen. The man also asks what if he no longer has a student, and the guy understands that now he knows for sure. Judging by the teacher's reaction, he never planned to marry his daughter to him, and he doesn't know where Letty got her misconception about this marriage from. Well, he doesn't have a single reason to get rid of the misunderstanding that has arisen. The main character wonders if they will be able to make peace if they continue to stare at each other like that. And this won't work, so they need to move on to plan B. The girl immediately falls to her knees And when her father turns to her in shock, she only asks for forgiveness because it's all her fault. The two look at the girl in shock, and the lady realizes that her plan was to tearfully beg for forgiveness, while at the same time explaining to her father that they would be dating and insisting on his blessings. Thank God there is a carpet on the floor, so you can fall down on your face without any problem, Max. At this time tells Jubilian that he should apologize, so let her get up, because he is the one apologizing. The main character thinks why he is so indignant, and he does not even imagine how terrible his father is when angry. She is not even sure if she should ask for forgiveness like this. The girl turns to Max and says that she cannot get up until her conversation with her father is over. The man answers that he understood everything, so he suggests that she go up and then talk. The main character wonders if her father is even asking for this. The man says that the floor is very cold, so she should quickly go up. The crown prince says that this is true, because as the teacher said, let her stand up, and then they will continue the conversation. The girl understands that they get along well, but they understand that everything went wrong, because the father did not accept his apology. The lady tells her father that Max was rude because he loves her immensely, and she will take care of his upbringing, so let him be generous. The Duke at the same moment says that it is good and he forgives, and the main character thinks why it is so easy. The Duke adds that she should get up quickly, and the brunette also asks her to get up. A little while later, the three are already sitting at the table. The lady wonders if everything really was resolved so quickly. The man replies that she forgives her for her mistake. But nevertheless, he will not give his consent to this relationship, and the main character understands that everything is as she thought. The girl tells her father that he does not need to give his consent immediately because she would like him to observe them at least for some time. The Duke understands that despite his daughter's desperate desire, he cannot allow her to date this man. However, he says that there are no parents who can defeat their children, and she will do everything her way anyway. The man understands that, okay, love is blind, and as they say, you can fall in love with a goat. Well, when she finds out Max's true nature, who will leave him herself? So the man says, okay? The crown prince is wondering if this is really his stubborn mentor, who always stands his ground. The main character is delighted and thanks her father. The man thinks, how can one lie to such a naive child? After which he even apologizes to Jubilian, but understands that this is all in order to protect her. And if she is with this guy, a thorny path awaits her. A little while later, the girl is in her room and realizes that she is the smartest girl because she managed to get permission for a relationship from her cold-blooded father. The lady also turns to Max and says that since they have the father's consent, how about Togo making some clauses for their contract? Perhaps he has requirements that she should adhere to. Drinks tea after that. And the main character thinks, what is this? And where did he get such manners from Jubilian wonders? If he is an aristocrat who accidentally ran away from home. Well, the brunette at the same moment asks how it is possible to drink this. And the main game does not understand that this is some kind of nonsense, because someone who does not know what tea tastes like cannot be an aristocrat. But this is the best quality tea. The brunette at this time writes something on paper and hands it to the lady. When the main character looks at it, she sees that it says that during the contract period, Jubilian should not date another man under any circumstances. The lady laughs and wonders if he really included such conditions in the contract, because he doesn't want her to date others. When the lady tells him to listen, she looked at the contents. The brunette interrupts her and says that there is also a point about the name. The lady sees that it is written there that every time Jubilian sees Max, she should call him by name, and the main character understands that there is nothing strange in addressing each other by name. And she also says that in this case, he should also call her by name, to which he agrees. The lady also understands that everything is so confusing that she does not even know where to start. And first, she needs to correct the grammar so that it looks like official documents. The girl corrects all this and understands that the requirements should be drawn up differently. A little while later, she thinks that it all should go up in flames and suggests that the guy read it, because if he wants to correct something, let him tell her about it. Well, when the man takes one of the papers in his hands, he asks what it is, because he can't agree to something like that. The main character asks him to read it calmly first, but the man just tears up the contract, Jubilian understands that he so easily destroyed what another person worked so hard on. And if he doesn't like something, you can just say it. And if you think about it, Max has been treating her without due attention and respect all this time. After she took care of him for several days, he just left without saying a word. And this habit of his of disappearing without answering the question asked of him is simply terrible. He is also constantly irritated, and the lady understands that she turned a blind eye to such rude behavior only because they had nothing in common. But while they are bound by a contract, they will have to communicate very often, and if they cannot come to an agreement now, then the answer is obvious because she is no longer going to tolerate such treatment. After which the girl says that then they will consider that their contract ends there, and the guy at the same moment asks what she is talking about. When the man read the contract, he understood that he thought it would be a simple intersection of rules, but judging by the form, it is an official document. Well, when he saw the clause that it was desirable for the meetings to take place in crowded places, the guy replied that he could not agree to this and tore up the contract. Now he says that the lady can't do that when they've already gone so far, because they've spent so much effort to get her father's consent. She said that she hates the crown prince, and she herself once said that she doesn't want to marry him. This tyrant is a real piece of trash, and if she doesn't sign a contract with him, then she won't have any other choice but to marry him. The main character says that there's nothing to be done since they couldn't agree from the very beginning, and if they continue this, then eventually they'll just get tired of each other. The guy says that this is too hasty a conclusion, and the main characters don't answer that this is not true at all, because the reason he broke the contract is that he doesn't intend to compromise. Therefore, what kind of equal agreement can we talk about in such a situation? The man at this time is going to answer something and remembers how he was in the years of his golden youth. He threw papers that were brought to him and ordered them to be redone. He tore them up with ease and asked if they really called such a description a report. After that, he developed a bad habit of tearing up documents. The guy understands that no one ever focused on the fact that he was tearing up documents, and couldn't he just write them again? The main character at this time asks if he likes it when someone ignores his opinion. The girl also says that it is incredibly unpleasant for her, and the situation where she is not perceived as an equal harms her self-esteem and makes her feel bad throughout the day. At this time, the guy asks if she wants to say that his actions have ruined her mood, to which the lady replies that yes, and to be honest, she doesn't feel very well. The brunette thinks that he is kind of helping her here, so why should he also watch his actions? Jubilian claims that since it is difficult to negotiate with him, she decided that she should stop all this, because in any case, their contract is based on her request. At that moment, something inside the guy clicked, and he realized that if he continued to insist on his own, he would lose her forever. After that, he kept thinking that he didn't care. But when he looks at the sad expression on the lady's face, he immediately says that he was wrong. A little while later, the guy asks if he really just needs to sign there, to which the girl agrees and wonders why such a change. It's strange to see him so polite and calm, after which the contract is finally concluded, and the lady understands that she has finally managed it. At this time, the brunette is thinking why he has the feeling that he was used, and the main character asks if it is possible to immediately announce their relationship. There is a tea party at Count Terence's house soon, so they will go there together. The brunette at this time asks if she knows who is going to attend this tea party. The girl replies that her friend Miss Arlo and her friends Max understands that, as he thought she does not know that Mikhail is going to visit there. A little while ago, Madame Precia said that it was strange that Miss Terence personally invited Sir Mikhail and did not inform others about it. At the same moment, the brunette says that then he must also be present. He understood that he would definitely give Mikhail a gift in the form of his discouraged face. The main character, looking at the couple, does not think about what he is so passionate about. But in any case, all's well that ends well. A little while later, the day of the tea party at the residence of Count Terence arrived, and the aristocrats looked at the lady in shock and asked what this meant. At this time, Rose is wondering how it happened that someone who was not invited ended up among the guests. She also turns to Veronica, and the woman replies that she was simply following the rules of the meeting, because the one who provides the place for the party can invite whoever he wants. However, the lady says that the other day she mentioned that, for this, it is necessary to obtain the consent of 2 participants. She also asks why she did it, but Mikhail says, as for Miss Rose, didn't she do the same thing, invited her friend last time? The girl says that, then she definitely. But at that very moment, Michael interrupts her and says that being strict with others and merciful to himself is not very good. One of the people claims that Sir Michael's words make sense because they agreed to Lady Floraine's presence at that tea party after Miss Arlo sent her an invitation. Another lady says that since it turned out that way, what will change if an exception is made for two guests? Mikhail smiles after that and thanks the beautiful ladies. Rose wonders what is wrong with all of them, and if Lady Florine finds out that Mikhail is there, she will definitely not be very comfortable. But everyone is so excited, as if it does not matter to them. A little while later, the main character enters the room and says that she arrived at the strictly appointed time, but everyone arrived so early. Mikhail, looking at her, is shocked because he sees another man standing next to the lady. The main character at this time asks if the tea party has started yet. Mikhail is shocked and wonders who this idiot standing near Jubiliane is. The guy remembers how he asked Lady Veronica if she could invite him to a desperate party because he is very worried about her, because Lady Florine will be there. The guy understands that since then, everything went like clockwork. And as always, he easily managed to persuade young ladies to his side. Rose Marie Arlo turned out to be surprisingly friendly Jubilian. Well, she did the same thing last time. When all the ladies went over to his side, the guy understood that all that was left was to wait for the cherry on the cake, and that was the arrival of Jubilian. Well, when the lady came, she was not alone. Rose at the same moment turns to Lady Florine and apologizes for being rude, but wonders who this person is next to her. The main character replies that it is her beloved Max, and all the ladies are immediately delighted, and also understand that Lady Florine does have a lover, and they thought that these were ridiculous rumors. Rose immediately says that they look so good together, and the main character, looking at her partner, understands that he is pretending well, and when everything is over, she will have to praise him. Rose immediately says that it is a great honor for her to meet Lady Floraine's lover, after which she also says that, in fact, there are more at this party, someone. And the main character, looking to the side where the other ladies are looking, sees Mikhail and thinks, why he is there. Max understands that they finally met this vile idiot. The blonde is thinking at this time, what is wrong with this scoundrel, and how dare he look down on him? The other aristocrats at this time understand that they can observe the scene of the battle of the former and current lover. Mikhail wonders if Jubilian has decided to act in this way and boldly leave him and start a new affair. But then he realizes that he needs to calm down, because it is Jubilian, and she is like an open book. He is sure that the lady started all this only to attract his attention. And since she only mentioned his name, it means that he most likely either comes from a very poor family or is a commoner. The girl is trying to provoke him using such a non-entity, so let her get ready, because today he will get on her nerves. The guy at the same moment, with a smile on his face, tells Jubilian that they haven't seen each other for a long time, and Max gets furious and realizes that he's about to slam his face against the wall. Jubilian is thinking why Mikhail is behaving this way, and are they in a relationship where they can greet each other with a smile on their face? Once, Jubilian, I was in love with this smile and chased after him until he fell into eternal sleep, if only to see her on his lips well now. As is not surprising, these memories do not cause any emotions in her, and the lady only indifferently says that they have not seen each other for a long time. The girl immediately turns to Max, and with a smile on her face, thanks him for seeing her off, and also says that they will see each other a little later. The guy immediately hugs the lady, and looking at Mikhail, she thinks that he should look carefully, because the place next to Jubilian is now his. The main character wonders if the guy is angry and why he has such a strange expression on his face. Rose at this time says that she has a proposal, because at today's party, they already have one unexpected guest, so she does not think that anyone will be against if their company increases a little more. She also asks her friends what they think about this. About the main character reflects, doesn't she mean Max now? One of the ladies at the same moment says that she agrees, and the other says that she does too. The main character thinks that this is not it, because at least the guy is doing a great job of his role now. But Max is a time bomb, after which she thanks them. But when he wants to say something else, Mikhail immediately asserts that he is against it, and isn't she herself a guest for whom an exception was made? The main character thinks that she is there as an exception, but she doesn't have to tell him about it. Lady Rose says that these are completely different things, because Lady Florane had already received her consent. Veronica, however, claims that she does not agree either, and asks Rose to refrain from showing fanaticism about justice, because this will only harm Lady Florane. The main character understands that the lady is the organizer of this tea party, and she is the daughter of Count Terence. The woman at this time says that in return, she will ask to take her to her partner into one of the empty rooms so that he could calmly wait for her and the main character. Thanks the lady. Jubilean understands that she would have to take care of Max throughout the entire tea party, but thanks to this lady, the problem resolved itself, and for some reason, it seems to her that they are somewhat similar. At this point, Veronica turns around and realizes that all attention is focused only on them, and it's all because of that woman. A little while later, they are sitting at the table. Mikhail turns to Veronica and tells her to wait, after which he wipes her mouth with his finger. The main character looks coldly at these two, and Mikhail understands that, as he thought the lady cannot take her eyes off him, it is so predictable, because she could not forget him so easily, and no matter how hard the lady tried, she was in his hands. The blonde immediately tells Veronica that the tea is amazing, and the girl thanks him. The main character at this time understands why she thought that they were so similar, but it is because she is also head over heels in love with Mikhail, just like Jubilean once was. From her point of view, there is not a drop of sincerity in this picture, and in the end, Mikhail is destined to marry the princess, and in the end, everything will end in complete collapse. So she hopes that this lady will not take the path of a villain. Max is quietly waiting for Jubilean in the guest room. He also remembers how the lady told him to try not to do anything wrong and suggested doing without scandals. The guy now understands that his place is not there at all, because it is known what this idiot Mikhail is doing now. And then, when greeting, he smiled so much that it really pisses him off. The guy remembers how, in one of the reports, the woman said that what was really sad was that although Lady Florane was criticized for being too attached to this guy, but he never stood up for her, and at the same time used her money and the Duke's reputation without a twinge of conscience. Now the guy apologizes to Jubilean and understands that her fears were not in vain because they will not do without a scandal, after which he understands everything that needs to be started. At this time, Mikhail turns to Lady Veronica and tells her to try this cake. The woman blushes a little, and the guy turns to her again and asks if she would like to go for a walk with him sometime. The lady immediately replies that she would be happy to ask me what day would be most convenient for him to meet. The guy understands that it doesn't matter to him at all, because the only thing that worries him now is Jubilean's reaction to hearing this conversation. In the past, the lady couldn't stand it when women hung around him, and he even presented it as if he was going to go on a date with Veronica, so now she's probably at her limit. Well, when he looks at the lady, he sees something smiling and asks if she says that this guy looks like a cat. But it's true, after looking at his habits, he's exactly the same. Rose replies that when the lady introduced him to them, it never even occurred to her that he could be like that. Well, another girl says that when she saw her lover for the first time, he seemed very scary, so she can't even imagine something like that. Mikhail, looking at all this, understands that this is very strange because Jubilean is not looking at him. Rose at this time tells her friends that she has a proposition for all of them. It is nothing special, and she would simply like to put forward Lady Florane's candidacy. As a new member of their community, she then asks what they think about it. The main character is a little embarrassed by this and says that she is of course grateful to Rose, but there is no need to be so zealous. Her interlocutor replies that this is not at all a burden to her, because she believes that Lady Florane has every right to do this. Mikhail at this time thinks why she makes such a sweet expression only for those women and not for him. The girl also says that she is really fine. But one of the ladies says that if the candidate is Lady Florane, she is all for it, and her interlocutor says that she is too. Jubilean knows she's at a loss, but this could be her chance to bond with her peers. However, if they ever decide to kick her out, it won't surprise anyone, so it's worth politely refusing. Veronica immediately says that he's opposite. After all, there are certain conditions for Togo to get into their community, and she believes that all the rules must be followed. Rose claims that the lady is talking about the conditions they set when they first formed the community, and she is right. The main character says that if she doesn't meet the requirements, then nothing can be done, and there's no need to worry about it. But when the lady turns around, she sees Max in the window and wonders if he is normal at all. She just asked to sit quietly in the restroom, and what should she do if someone present saw him? The girl also wonders how long he has been sitting there, and what if someone suddenly notices his absence? At the same moment, Mikhail thinks why the lady keeps looking sideways towards the window, and when he also looks there, he sees Max. Rose at this time turns to Lady Florine and asks if she is listening, to which the girl replies that of course she is, but understands that she needs to return him back to the room as soon as possible. Mikhail is shocked and wonders why she is looking at this idiot, because he is sitting right in front of her. And what's so special about this guy? The brunette just grins and points to Mikhail, that he's a total bummer. The blonde gets really angry about this and realizes that he just needs to look at this idiot. He immediately gets up from his seat and says that he will go get some fresh air and will return immediately. Veronica wants to say that she will go with him, but the guy immediately pushes her hand away and says he wants to go alone. The guy understands that this brunette is an arrogant bastard, so he will put him into eternal sleep. At this time, the main character is already imagining how the Duke will ask if Max was really following the community meeting, and there are only crazy people around. No matter how much the girl thought about it, Max is definitely one of those people, so my father will immediately offer her to marry the crown prince. The girl also understands that if he gets caught, everything will be over. But when the ladies look out the window again, they see that the guy is missing. At that moment, one of the ladies says that she is really looking forward to it. The other one replies that the tavern is so interested in what the special tea that Lady Florine brews tastes like. The main character is thinking about what they are talking about, and what kind of tea. Rose claims that she is also all in anticipation, and the girl asks what they are talking about. Her interlocutor replies that it is about a special person that the lady will prepare for the tea party, and this is a condition for joining their community. While the ladies thank her for her consent, Jubilian is shocked and wonders if while she was distracted by Max, they had already planned everything in detail. At this point, Mikhail screams for the guy to come out immediately because he won't let him get away with his jokes. The servant turns to the young master and asks him to wait. But Max at the same moment says that he is there, and Mikhail crawled in a bit late. He also looks at his partner as if he were a nobody, which only makes him angrier. The main character washes her hands at this time and realizes that she accidentally agreed to host a tea party. Well, at that very moment, someone else addresses her, and the girl realizes that it is Veronica. Her interlocutor asks Lady Florine why she keeps looking in her direction and sighs heavily. Jubilian understands that it seems she showed her emotions, after which everyone tells him that she was angry with Mikhail. Veronica asks what the lady means, and the main character replies that she was also often used, and before she believed that Mikhail's kindness was sincere. Her interlocutor asks what it means to be used, and whether the lady wants to say that she was used. Jubilian thinks that she understands that the girl does not want to admit it, and she behaved in exactly the same way. The main character apologizes for the inconvenience, and says that she did not mean to hurt her feelings. Lady understands that it is a little offensive, but she is really embarrassed to realize that she is so similar. On her last one now, the girl turns around and says that she is going to organize a tea party as promised. And if she is uncomfortable being in her company, then the lady may not move because she has nothing against it. And now she will return to the living room.